Chapter 259. On the Square. All of the elders raised their eyebrows and stared at the sky. Swoosh, swoosh. In just a few breaths, the sound of wind breaking could be heard from the horizon outside Tianwu Academy. Eventually, dozens of tiny specks of light appeared in the sky. Vaguely, it was as though a storm was sweeping over, causing the mountains and forests in the distance to tremble. The specks of light streaked across the sky at an extremely fast speed. As the sound of wind breaking grew louder and louder, dozens of massive demonic beast mounts appeared outside Tianwu Academy. In Tianwu Academy, many students raised their heads and looked at the sky. Then, astonishment appeared on their faces. Those demonic beasts were extraordinary. The top half of them were demonic beasts ranked on the Earth Beast board. There were several people seated on each of the demonic beast mounts, and they were divided into 10 groups. The demonic beasts in the lead were especially extraordinary. A huge red eagle hovered in the sky. Its gaze was sharp and ferocious. As it flapped its wings, a blazing aura spread out, causing the air currents to howl like a storm. On the giant red eagle, a young lady wearing an orange-red outfit stood at the front. Her long and slender legs and slim waist made her already tall figure appear even more slender. Her elegant temperament carried a hint of coolness. A huge white eagle that was as white as snow emanated an icy aura. A lady dressed in a light blue dress stood on top of the white eagle. Her waist was slim and her skin was smooth. She didn't wear any makeup, and her lips weren't dyed red. A few strands of hair cascaded down to her waist, giving her an elegant and charming appearance. A huge tiger stood in the air, looking as though it was about to pounce. It was exceptionally ferocious. A middle-aged man sat on the back of the huge tiger. His facial features were distinct and deep, and his eyes were dark and unrestrained. That's the raging flame demonic falcon, and the mystic snow eagle, and the Xianqi demonic tiger. Looking at the extraordinary demonic beasts, there were some who were astonished. However, their astonishment wasn't too exaggerated. After all, the students of Tianwu Academy had extraordinary backgrounds. Even though the demonic beasts were rare and powerful, they weren't too exaggerated. On behalf of Tianwu Academy, we welcome you all. Elder Sun and the others raised their heads and clasped their fists. Their attitude was respectful, and they didn't disrespect the prestige of Tianwu Academy. Elders, you're too kind. Shengnan greets all the elders. In midair, a woman in an orange-red outfit descended from the back of the raging flame falcon. After that, many figures jumped down from their demonic beast mounts. Their auras were restrained, but the invisible fluctuations affected the energy of heaven and earth. It was very shocking. Greetings, elders. On the backs of the demonic beasts, silhouettes landed one after another. Some were graceful, some were elegant, and one after another, a formless aura descended upon Tianwu Academy. Greetings, First Princess. Elder Sun nodded slightly at the woman in orange with a smile in his eyes. You must be Elder Sun Biue, the person in charge of Tianwu Academy's talisman department. I've long heard of your name. My second sister and third brother are currently studying in Tianwu Academy as well. Elder Sun, you can address me as Shangnan. The orange-red outfit woman smiled. Her disposition and appearance were in no way inferior to Ouyang Shuang and Du Xiaoman. After which, she looked at a wrinkled old man with a goatee beside her and introduced him to the experts of Tianwu Academy. Allow me to introduce him to the elders. This is Elder Gong Sun Dao from the Divine Radiance Court, and he is also my martial uncle. Elder Gong Sun has an otherworldly disposition. Greetings. Elder Sun nodded his head. Elder Sun is too polite. Sorry for disturbing you in Tianwu Academy. A smile appeared on Gong Sun Dao's wrinkled face, but it made his face look like a bitter gourd. Even though he had an otherworldly disposition, the formless aura that he exuded was intimidating. Roar! Right at this moment, A howl resounded through the sky from a low altitude, and a colossus that was over 100 meters long swept through the air. This massive creature was a ferocious flood dragon. Its entire body was reddish-green in color, and it emanated a brilliant glow. Inscriptions could be vaguely seen on its body, and its scales covered its body. The air in the surroundings surged and rippled. What a ferocious, demonic beast! The students of Tianwu Academy were astonished. The massive flood dragon was terrifying, and its aura was like that of the king of all beasts. Under its roar, the demonic beasts in the surroundings trembled. "It's the Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon." At this moment, the elders of the Tianwu Academy exclaimed inwardly. That was actually a Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon. Flood dragons possessed the bloodline of demonic dragons. The Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon was a demonic beast ranked on the Heavenly Beast ranking. At this moment, on the back of the crimson cloud WRM that surged with divine lights and possessed a mighty imposing aura stood a young man around the age of 16 or 17. The young man's handsome face was round and perfect like the beautiful young men in the legends, and his long eyelashes and brows that flew diagonally to his temples were faintly discernible under the cover of his messy bangs. It was obvious that the Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon on the Heavenly Beast ranking was the young man's mount. For a young man to have a terrifying demonic beast on the Heavenly Beast ranking as his mount, it was clear that his identity wasn't simple. At this moment, the young man stood on the Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon. He was exceptionally handsome, and his aura was astonishing. Ripples appeared in the eyes of many girls in the square. Roar! Stepping on the Scarlet Cloud WIRM, the young man dashed toward the entrance of Tianwu Academy. A playful smile hung on his slightly plump lips. There was a hint of contempt in his eyes, as though he didn't care about Tianwu Academy at all. Everyone dismounted from their demonic beast mounts as a sign of respect for Tianwu Academy. Even the elders of Tianwu Academy didn't ride on demonic beast mounts to enter Tianwu Academy. At this moment, the young man seemed to be doing so intentionally. Dismount from your mount. You are not allowed to act impudently in Tianwu Academy. On the square, Du Xiaoman's beautiful figure immediately flew out and blocked in front of the Scarlet Cloud Dragon like a bolt of lightning. Her enchanting and graceful figure emitted a piercingly cold aura. The young man looked at Du Xiaoman with a smile on his face. His dazzling black eyes seemed to be able to see through the past and present, and his smile carried a hint of danger. After which, he completely ignored Du Xiaoman and charged toward the entrance of Tianwu Academy with a roar. Roar! The Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon roared, and a torrential aura surged from its body. It released a terrifying aura and charged toward Du Xiaoman with its mouth wide open. Impudent! Du Xiaoman's figure moved gracefully. Her slender hands and palm imprints changed. A palm imprint shook the air and extended towards the Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon. The Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon completely disregarded the palm imprint. With its massive body, it crashed into Du Xiaoman's palm imprint. On the surface of the massive flood dragon's body, waves of runes surged and destroyed Du Xiaoman's palm imprint. After which, a terrifying force engulfed Du Xiaoman's body. Bang! A muffled sound rang out, causing Du Xiaoman's delicate body to fall straight down from the sky. Blood suddenly spurted out from her mouth, before her body heavily smashed into the ground. Be careful! Ouyang Shuang reached out and caught Du Xiaoman's body. Under the huge impact, Ouyang Shuang's delicate body was shaken several steps back. Her face was pale, and blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. Only then did she manage to stabilize her body. Perfect Pulse Spirit Realm! Everyone was shocked. The Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon had actually reached the Perfect Pulse Spirit Realm as a demonic beast on the Heavenly Beast ranking. Even a martial marquis in the Perfect Pulse Spirit Realm wouldn't be able to do anything to it. Du Xiaoman's profound Pulse Spirit Realm cultivation was naturally unable to do anything to the Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon. roar. The scarlet cloud flood dragon roared and revealed a ferocious glint in its eyes. A boundless aura swept across the sky. The heavenly beast, ranking, wasn't just for show. Its terrifying aura caused one's heart to tremble. Students of the Tianwu Academy, listen up. Tomorrow morning, I, Guyu, will challenge the Tianwu Academy. Let me see if the Tianwu Academy is worthy of its reputation. Guyu's voice was as loud as thunder, and his gaze was filled with arrogance. As soon as he finished speaking, Guyu stepped on the scarlet cloud flood dragon and soared into the sky. He directly flew through the gate of the Tianwu Academy, not putting the Tianwu Academy in his eyes. Swish, swish, numerous gazes were directed at the young man and flood dragon who had completely disregarded the Tianwu Academy. The students of the Tianwu Academy were furious, but they knew that they wouldn't be able to stop them. Even if they did, they would only be embarrassing themselves. Just the flood dragon alone was something that only a martial marquis would be able to withstand. The gazes of all the elders trembled. As elders of the Tianwu Academy, if they were to make a move on a 16 or 17-year-old youth, it would affect the reputation of the Tianwu Academy. This disciple is mischievous and has only cultivated in the divine court for a short period of time. Due to his young age, he doesn't know the rules. Please forgive me, Gong Sun Dao said to Elder Sunday. However, there wasn't much change in his attitude. Instead, there was a hint of contempt in his eyes as he continued. Guyu has always been arrogant and doesn't put those of the same generation in his eyes. Now that he has come to the Tianwu Academy, he dares to act so presumptuously and even dares to challenge the students of the Tianwu Academy. Why don't we make use of this opportunity to ask the elders of the Tianwu Academy to send a student to teach him a lesson so that he will know his place in the future and behave himself? The gazes of the people behind him flickered, but no one said anything. How could the people present not understand the meaning behind Gong Sun Dao's words? On the surface, he sounded polite, but in reality, Gong Sun Dao was implying that Guyu was young and had only cultivated in the divine light court for a short period of time. Since he challenged the Tianwu Academy tomorrow, the Tianwu Academy had no choice but to accept the challenge. If they accepted the challenge, the Tianwu Academy would be too embarrassed to send those overaged youths. Elder Gong Sun, you don't have to blame yourself. Since Elder Gong Sun is interested, then let the Tianwu Academy witness the glory of a disciple of the divine light court tomorrow. Elder Sun had a faint smile on his face. He didn't say anything and didn't lose sight of the general situation. However, at this moment, there was a hint of coldness in his eyes. Thank you, Marshal Qingtian, for the reward. Vermilion Bird, Smiling Beauty, for the reward. Chapter 260. As a large group of guests entered Tianwu Academy, news of an extraordinary young man riding on a scarlet cloud jiao and barging into Tianwu Academy spread like wildfire. The news of the young man named Gu Yu challenging the students of Tianwu Academy the next day also spread like wildfire. Bastard, that brat is too despicable. He actually dares to look down on our Tianwu Academy. Since he dares to challenge the students of our academy, he's clearly looking down on us. Get someone to teach that brat a lesson tomorrow. Teaching that brat a lesson is easier said than done. It's said that his mount is a scarlet cloud jiao at the great circle of the pulse spirit realm, a demonic beast on the heaven beast ranking. Even if his mount were to make a move, it would be able to kill a bunch of experts on the martial ranking in an instant. Then get the top 10 experts on the martial ranking to teach that arrogant brat a lesson. That Guyu is only 16 or 17 years old. Putting aside the fact that he might not be able to win, even if he were to win, it would be equivalent to losing. If he were to lose, it would cause the reputation of our Tianwu Academy to plummet. But this time, there are quite a few talented new students in our academy. There are, but no matter how strong the new students are, their cultivation is still limited. I'm afraid that they won't be able to compete with that young man named Guyu. Within Tianwu Academy, all of the students were discussing the challenge tomorrow. They wondered who would be able to contend against that young man named Guyu. The name Du Xiaofu that had been spreading like wildfire recently was finally suppressed by Guyu's name. Dusk was approaching, and the sun was setting in the west. Red clouds spread across the sky, covering half of the sky. The canopy of the trees swayed, and the mountain peaks stretched far and wide. Big Sister. In a room in a courtyard on a mountain peak, a slightly plump young man and a short-braided young lady happily surrounded a lady dressed in orange. The two of them were the first place of the freshman assessment, Cheng Yan, and the fourth place, Qing Chao. They were the second princess and third prince of the Stone Dragon Empire, respectively, and had an illustrious status. Second sister, third brother, how are you doing in Tianwu Academy? As the first princess of the Stone Dragon Empire, as well as the elder sister of Cheng Yan and Qing Chao, she was also a direct disciple of the Divine Light Court. She was famous in the surrounding empires. Cheng Yan had a delicate and pretty face. She looked to be around 16 to 17 years old, and she bore some resemblance to the chubby young man. Under her long eyelashes, her large eyes sparkled like black gems. She looked at Cheng Xingnan and said, Tianwu Academy has an extraordinary foundation, especially in the Tianwu Talisman realm. If you can comprehend it well, your achievements will be extraordinary. Of course, I noticed that second sister has improved a lot in such a short time, Cheng Xingnan said with a smile. Hearing those words, Cheng Chao's face was filled with displeasure. He looked at Cheng Xingnan and said, Big sister, there's really nothing good about Tianwu Academy. I really don't know why Emperor Father wants me to come here. Why don't you go back and tell Emperor Father to let me join the Radiant Shrine? I also want to become a disciple of the Divine Light Court. Cheng Xingnan raised his eyebrows slightly and looked at the chubby young man. His lips curled up as he said, Third brother, Emperor Father naturally has his reasons for sending you to Tianwu Academy. The Tianwu Talisman realm in Tianwu Academy is extraordinary, and even the experts of the Divine Light Court have mentioned it many times. If you comprehend it well, you will achieve great things in the future. Tianwu Academy. I hate Tianwu Academy. Cheng Chao's face was ashen. When he thought of the humiliation he suffered when he first arrived at Tianwu Academy, displeasure welled up in his heart. As the third prince of the empire and the future ruler of the Stone Dragon Empire, he didn't expect to be humiliated the moment he arrived at Tianwu Academy. He couldn't get over it. Looking at Qing Chao, Cheng Yan could only sigh inwardly. She then looked at Cheng Xingnan and asked, Big sister, I heard that a young man named Guyu from the Divine Light Court is going to challenge Tianwu Academy tomorrow. Is that true? Cheng Xingnan's eyes flickered, and she smiled. She said to Cheng Yan, There is indeed such a thing. Junior brother Guyu possesses the spiritual pulse physique and is extremely talented. At the age of 17, he has already reached the great circle of the pulse spirit realm. In the entire Divine Light Court, there are less than 3 people with such talent. Therefore, he specially came to Tianwu Academy to spar with them. Spiritual pulse physique, great circle of the pulse spirit realm at the age of 17. Hearing this, Qing Yan and Cheng Xingnan were dumbfounded. Guyu's talent was terrifying to the extreme. They felt that their talents weren't bad, but compared to Guyu, the difference was like the difference between heaven and earth. Second sister, you are the champion of this year's freshman assessment. However, if you wish to challenge Guyu tomorrow, you can forget about it. You are still unable to test him, Cheng Xingnan said. Cheng Yan looked at Cheng Xingnan and her eyes flickered. She said, Du families Du Qi and Du Yunxin are both here. Will the academy arrange for them to take action? I'm afraid that they won't be able to do anything to Guyu. Du family. Cheng Xingnan's eyes flickered, and she said softly, The people from the Du household are also here. I believe that Tianwu Academy won't arrange for the Du family to take action. Dusk. Silver gray dew enveloped the mountains. Greetings to fourth uncle. In the courtyard, a young man and a young lady stood together and respectfully bowed to a burly man with distinct facial features. The burly man looked at the young man and young lady with his deep eyes, and a smile appeared on his face. Du Qi, Yunqin, how are the two of you doing in Tianwu Academy? The young man was called Du Qi. Hearing this, a smile appeared on his handsome face. He stood there quietly, but his aura was noble and elegant. Coupled with his tall figure, it made him appear even more handsome. He said, I have gained quite a lot. The Tianwu Academy's Tianwu Seal Realm is extraordinary. Then you must comprehend it well. There is no weakling in my Du family. The burly man smiled and looked at the young lady. He asked, Yunqin, what about you? The young lady looked to be around 16 or 17 years old. Her name was Du Yunqin, and she had a rosy face. Her eyes were watery, and her voice was gentle as she replying to fourth uncle, I have gained quite a lot as well. That's good. Your parents have instructed me to tell the two of you to cultivate well and reach the Meridian Spirit Realm as soon as possible, the burly man said. Yes. The two of them nodded. After which, some ripples flashed across Du Qi's pair of clear eyes, which were so gentle that it seemed as if water was about to drip out of them. His fine long hair covered his smooth forehead and drooped down to his thick and long eyelashes. After seemingly pondering for a while, he opened his mouth and asked, fourth uncle, big brother, second brother, and the others, what level are they at now? Their progress is extraordinary. If you want to catch up to your big brother and second brother, you will have to put in more effort. The burly man smiled. Then he looked at the two of them with his deep eyes and asked, I heard that there is a Du Xiaofu in Tianwu Academy. Have the two of you paid attention to him? Hearing this, Du Qi's clear eyes flickered, and he replied, I did pay attention to him. That brat isn't simple, but I can't determine anything for the time being. Du Yunqin's brows slightly widened. She looked at the middle-aged man and asked, fourth uncle, is the clan investigating him as well? There are some matters that the clan has to investigate, the burly man replied. Night fell. The sky was shrouded in darkness. The distant mountains, the nearby trees, and the mountain range were all hazy. In the courtyard and hall, bright pearls shone brightly. At this moment, all the elders of Tianwu Academy were frowning. When they thought of the challenge from the Divine Light Court tomorrow, all of them felt dejected. It is said that Guyu has a spiritual pulse physique and is terrifyingly talented. He is only 17 years old, but he has already reached the great perfection of the pulse spirit realm. Even in the entire Divine Light Court, there are no more than 3 people with such talent. He is already an invincible existence among those of the same age. None of the new students in the academy can match up to him. Elder he who said with a grave expression, a spiritual pulse physique. Many of the elders were shocked when they heard this. That kind of talent only existed in legends and was 1 in a billion. It was a talent that surpassed ordinary martial pulse physiques. Anyone with a spiritual pulse physique was heaven-defying, and ordinary people couldn't be compared to them. Gu Yu is too powerful, and the Divine Light Court is doing this intentionally. Putting aside whether the top 10 on the martial ranking can win, even if they win, it will be an unfair victory. Even if they win against Gu Yu, they will lose the reputation of our Tianwu Academy. However, I'm afraid that none of the new students are qualified to fight, Elder Shangguan said with a grave expression. Among the freshmen, even though Du Qi, Du Yunqin, Cheng Yan, and the others are talented, they are still far from being able to match up to Gu Yu. Furthermore, the 8 King Manors have come together this time around. If we were to allow them to make a move, it would make our Tianwu Academy look weak, and it would be inappropriate for us to do so, Elder Sun said. Then, who should we send for the challenge tomorrow? If our Tianwu Academy doesn't even have a single person, our reputation will suffer a huge blow if news of this were to spread, Elder Liao said. No matter who we send tomorrow, it will be difficult for Tianwu Academy to step down. The Divine Light Court has come prepared, Morong, she said with a sigh. In the hall, the elders fell silent and shook their heads inwardly. Suddenly, Elder Shangguan looked at everyone and said, "Do you guys think that if Du Xiaofu was here, he would be able to fight against Guyu?" Swish, swish. When everyone heard this, their eyes flickered and they looked at each other with splendor in their eyes. You don't say. If that vicious and hateful brat was here, he might really be able to stop Guyu. It's said that that brat Du Xiaofu did not suffer any losses in Li Yuxiao's hands. A blue-clothed old elder in his 60s said, "I feel that if Du Xiaofu was here, he would be able to fight against Guyu," a yellow-clothed elder said. His eyes flickered with splendor, and the aura that he had concealed revealed a powerful aura. Chapter 261. It's useless to talk about this now. We still don't know if that brat Du Xiaofu is dead or alive. He's still with Elder Zhou. If that brat really did eat the green bamboo spirit fruit, I'm afraid that by now, Elder Zhou has already. Mu Rongxi did not continue. The gazes of the numerous elders trembled. If that brat called Du Xiaofu had really eaten Elder Zhou's precious green bamboo spirit fruit, then he would most likely have already been refined by Elder Zhou. Rumble. Within the scorching space, the rumbling sounds became more and more shocking. Raging flames engulfed the area, whistling as they spread like a storm. Crack, crack! As the runes spread around the three-legged medicinal cauldron, quite a few cracks once again appeared on its surface. Shockingly hot flames spread out and golden light shot out from within. If it were not for Elder Zhou suppressing it, the medicinal cauldron would have already been smashed to pieces. What's going on with this brat? He seems to be using the core fire to refine his body. Too savage. Elder Zhou sat cross-legged in front of the medicinal cauldron, his body shrouded in dazzling light. His deep star-like eyes were filled with shock. Using the core fire to refine one's body. Just how shocking and unyielding was this? That youth was practically savagely torturing himself, spying on everything within the medicinal cauldron. It was not difficult for Elder Zhou to know that if it was anyone else, this would definitely be a form of torture, an unbearable refinement. However, for some unknown reason, Du Xiaofu had a great heart, great perseverance, great talent, and great willpower. Even in the face of this kind of pain that ordinary people could endure, he had never retreated. He had always been training himself and forging a better physical body. In Elder Zhou's spying, it had already been an entire 11 days. Within the medicinal cauldron, Du Xiaofu had absorbed an entire 11 days' worth of core fire to refine himself. If it was an ordinary martial lord, Elder Zhou could guarantee that he would have long been burnt to ashes. Rumble! The medicinal cauldron shook even more, violently smashing apart. Elder Zhou was shocked. Du Xiaofu's physical body inside the cauldron was too terrifying. He had never heard of anyone who would train their physical body in such a brutal manner. It was originally a procedure for refining pills, but now it was being used by that brat to train his body. Hulala! Inside the medicinal cauldron, Du Xiaofu's body was enveloped by the raging flames from the earth's core. The faint, golden talisman patterns on the surface of his body flickered. In 11 days, Du Xiaofu had refined the golden feather to the extreme. Metamorphosis. It had been undergoing metamorphosis all along, as if it was missing something. Amidst the faint, golden talisman patterns, a hazy light seemed to curl up like mist. A terrifying aura was spreading, transforming and awakening. It was as if Du Xiaofu had unwittingly awakened something in the cultivation method of the golden-winged great pang in his body. A hidden aura was gradually awakening. Boom! Du Xiaofu stood in the space of raging flames and continued to train. The aura on his body became more and more domineering, causing people to tremble and sweep through everything. Time slowly passed. After so many days of refining, Du Xiaofu felt that he did not even need the help of the mysterious energy in his body to fear the raging flames from the earth's core. Under the tempering of the raging flames from the earth's core, his body became more and more valiant. Golden light filled the air, and under the glow of the flames, his body was like a beautiful jade. In Du Xiaofu's heart, he felt that he was about to transform to a new level. However, for the past few days, he had been missing something and had not reached the peak. Therefore, Du Xiaofu persevered. That feeling still existed. Du Xiaofu could clearly feel that if he could reach the peak of the refining of the golden feather and continue to evolve, he would definitely reach a powerful level. Even the golden-winged Great Peng race would not be able to reach that level of strength easily. Therefore, Du Xiaofu persevered. Only by persevering would he be able to become stronger. If he wanted to be stronger than others, he would have to persevere and work harder than others. Train, refine, forge. Du Xiaofu continued to refine every inch of his muscles, bones, completely refining all the impurities. It was like a process of derivation. During this process, his body became more crystalline, more tenacious, and the golden light became purer. Within the golden light, the domineering aura became more and more vast, as if it could suppress the world. As the tempering continued, Du Xiaofu felt that the new level was getting closer and closer. It was so close that it was as if there was only a thin layer of paper between them. Break! Du Xiaofu shouted loudly. He was completely focused and used all the strength in his body. With a stomp of his foot, the endless golden talisman runes around him soared into the sky. Creak! In this instant, the talisman runes on the surface of Du Xiaofu's body shattered inch by inch. His aura instantly dimmed, as if all the life in his body had suddenly disappeared. The golden light also gradually dimmed, before completely disappearing. Why did this brat fail? Did he fail? Elder Zhou, who was seated cross-legged, was suddenly startled. He could clearly sense the aura within the medicinal cauldron. Walala! In this instant, Du Xiaofu seemed to have become a dead person. There was no aura at all. The roaring earth core raging flames within the medicinal cauldron howled and surged at this instant. In an instant, they violently swept towards Du Xiaofu, intending to burn Du Xiaofu into ashes. At this moment, Du Xiaofu, who seemed to have lost all life, was wrapped in flames. Even without the help of the mysterious power within his body, he was still completely unharmed. His body, which seemed to be completely devoid of life, was like real gold that did not fear being refined by fire. After which, the talisman runes on Du Xiaofu's body that had just completely shattered began to flicker once again. It was as if he had been reborn, becoming even more powerful. Boom! Du Xiaofu's entire body shook. It was brimming with life as a faint golden light rushed towards the sky. In an instant, in a spurt of energy, he charged towards a new level in an unstoppable manner. At this moment, Du Xiaofu felt that he was continuously becoming stronger and climbing. This feeling was as if he had already surpassed the golden-winged Great Peng. I understand now. Destruction before establishment, reaching the true Peng. This is the true Peng realm. Du Xiaofu opened his eyes. Golden talisman runes flickered in his eyes, sharp and intimidating. Within his eyes, there seemed to be the illusory figure of a golden-winged Great Peng flapping its wings and soaring. Ku! Behind Du Xiaofu, the talisman runes condensed into the illusory figure of a golden-winged Great Peng. In one moment, it flapped its wings and soared into the sky. In the next moment, it seemed to be looking down on all living things. It changed unpredictably as if it was sentient. It formed a resonance with Du Xiaofu. Rumble. Within the medicinal cauldron, the sound was like thunder, following which the medicinal cauldron, which had already begun to crack, finally cracked completely under Du Xiaofu's final attack. In an instant, a golden light accompanied by the blazing flames of the earth's core swept out. Walala! Then Du Xiaofu's body, wrapped in a faint golden light, walked out. An incomparably domineering aura leaked out. It was as if the golden-winged Great Peng had descended. It carried the domineering will of the golden-winged Great Peng, as if it could suppress all living things. As the medicinal cauldron cracked open, the raging flames engulfed it. Elder Zhou sealed the raging flames of the earth's core with a seal in his hand and rapidly retreated. The golden-winged great Peng. This brat, is he a human or a Peng? Then, sensing the aura on Du Xiaofu's body, Elder Zhou was shocked. At this moment, it was as if a real golden-winged great Peng had descended. Walala! The light around his body gradually disappeared. Du Xiaofu began to return to normal. Under his sharp eyebrows, a faint golden light flickered in his clear eyes, which immediately became deep. Huff! A mouthful of turbid air was spat out from his abdomen. Feeling the changes in his physical body, Du Xiaofu's face revealed a smile. This was a qualitative breakthrough and leap. Compared to 11 days ago, it was like 2 levels. There was a huge difference. He never thought that he would be able to obtain such benefits this time. Brat, are you a human or a beast? Elder Zhou curiously stared at Du Xiaofu's rather messy hair. His deep gaze was closely fixed on Du Xiaofu's body, sizing him up. Of course I'm a human. It's just that I occasionally received some benefits from the golden-winged great Peng. That's why I'm like this, Du Xiaofu said to Elder Zhou. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's tone towards Elder Zhou was much more polite and respectful. During the 11 days in the medicinal cauldron, Du Xiaofu could feel that the old man in front of him had always been taking care of him. As he grew stronger, the temperature of the earth's core flames increased. It could be said that the old man had completely cooperated with him in tempering his physical body. Du Xiaofu could feel that although the old man in front of him looked as if he wanted to chop him to pieces, in reality, he had always been secretly taking care of him. Strange, truly strange. Elder Zhou continuously looked at Du Xiaofu, then stared closely at Du Xiaofu. He said, Brat, you received benefits from me. Shouldn't you also agree to a condition of mine? Senior, please speak. Du Xiaofu nodded. He had indeed received great benefits from the old man in front of him. Elder Zhou looked at Du Xiaofu and said, You ate my mighty Huang pill and destroyed my medicinal field. I want you to pay for it and then add some interest. You have no problem with that, right? No problem, but I'm afraid I can't pay for it at the moment. Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly. He really couldn't afford to pay for the mighty Huang pill now. Elder Zhou said, Don't worry, I'm not asking you to pay for it now. Naturally, there's no problem. Du Xiaofu thought for a moment, then nodded to Elder Zhou. Chapter 262. Elder Zhou continued. Besides, your father also took one of my Huangji pills. The son pays the father's debt. You don't have any objections, do you? Hearing this, Du Xiaofu instantly frowned. His dark eyes looked towards Elder Zhou and said, Even blood brothers should settle their debts clearly. My father is still here, so his debts should naturally be paid by him. I'm afraid that even if I helped him, I wouldn't be able to pay it back. Hearing this, Elder Zhou's gaze towards Du Xiaofu could not help but twitch, and then he said, Indeed, like father, like son. An indescribable smile appeared on Du Xiaofu's face, but he did not say anything. Can you put on some clothes first before you speak? Suddenly, Elder Zhou said to Du Xiaofu. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu discovered that the purple robe he had been wearing had long been burnt to ashes in the medicinal cauldron. He had actually been chatting with this old man all this time. His entire person instantly felt unwell. Qi. Within Du Xiaofu's palm, a small pagoda and a palm-sized bronze mountain peak rock appeared. From within the small pagoda, a Qinkuan bag was thrown out. From the Qinkuan bag, he fished out a blue robe and put on. The few clothes in the Qinkuan bag were mainly purple, and this blue robe was a rare sight. This small pagoda seems extraordinary. Brat, you destroyed one of my medicinal cauldrons. So how about you compensate me with this small pagoda? At this moment, Elder Zhou's gaze was tightly fixed on the small pagoda in Du Xiaofu's hand, a look of curiosity in his eyes. Elder, that won't do. In the future, I'll just compensate you with a medicinal cauldron. Du Xiaofu instantly kept the medicinal cauldron and mountain peak rock in his hands, afraid that the old man before him would have designs on the small pagoda and small Yao. Du Xiaofu knew that although his physical body had improved a lot this time, it was still far from enough to be compared with the terrifying old man in front of him. Then forget about it. You destroyed my medicinal field, destroyed one of my Huangji pills and medicinal cauldrons, and even received benefits from me. You owe me a lot. How about this, including the interest? You'll have to pay me a total of 10 Huangji pills in the future, Elder Zhou calculated and said. 10. Du Xiaofu's expression turned ugly when he heard that. What, you think it's too much? If you think it's too much, then just return my green bamboo spirit fruit. Elder Zhou said bluntly. That's not it. Du Xiaofu had no choice but to agree. You have to pay it back within 5 years. If you're late by a year, you'll double the amount. Elder Zhou said, Old man, you win. Du Xiaofu glared fiercely at Elder Zhou. You can leave now. I'll send you out of here safely, but be careful. Although I won't settle accounts with you for the time being, the Academy will still settle accounts with you. I've never asked about the Academy's matters. If you're caught by the Academy, I'm afraid you'll be miserable. Elder Zhou looked at Du Xiaofu and said. Du Xiaofu glared at Elder Zhou again and did not say anything. Du Xiaofu felt that he had nothing in common with this old man. Sometimes a common language needed to be built on a similar level of strength. If there was a huge disparity in strength, there would definitely be no common language. Elder Zhou, what's going on? Elder Sun, Morong Shi, Elder He Hu, Elder Shangguan, and the other elders came early in the morning. Looking at the broken medicinal cauldron and the mess around them, they looked at each other in confusion. Du Xiaofu, that brat, ran away. I originally planned to refine the brat like the green bamboo spirit fruit. Who knew that brat would destroy my medicinal cauldron and escape when I wasn't paying attention? Elder Zhou said to everyone. What? Hearing this, everyone's eyes suddenly trembled. To be able to escape from Elder Zhou's hands. That Du Xiaofu was really not simple. Elder Zhou, do you know which direction that brat ran to? Elder Sun suddenly asked. All the elders were also waiting for Elder Zhou's answer. They deliberately came early in the morning to try their luck and see if they could find Du Xiaofu, that ferocious brat at Elder Zhou's side. If they could let that ferocious brat deal with Pan Yu, it would be fine even if they could forgive some of that brat's sins. Originally, they were treating a dead horse as a living horse. They didn't expect that they would really come early in the morning and really get news of that brat Du Xiaofu from Elder Zhou. Elder Zhou turned his head, looked at Elder Sun and the others and said, Are you deliberately angering me? If I knew where that brat ran to, would I still be here? Hearing this, everyone's eyes suddenly became embarrassed. Elder Zhou, then we'll go and capture that brat. After Elder Sun finished speaking to Elder Zhou, he immediately motioned for everyone to leave. After a moment, clear light poured down, and the sky became brighter and brighter. Everyone, now we can only go and find that brat. If we find him, we'll have a good talk with him. As long as he can defeat that Pan Yu, we'll give him some credit for the crimes he committed in the Academy. On the blue stone corridor, Elder Sun said to the many elders around him, There's not much time left. With that brat's ability, who knows where he's hiding? Even if it's us, I'm afraid it'll be difficult to find him in a short period of time. A long-robed elder sighed. Elder Sun looked at the brighter sky and said, Everyone, let's search first. Regardless of whether we find him or not, we'll meet in the Peace Plaza in 2 hours. If we can't find that brat at that time, we can only accept our fate. Huff! In the morning, Du Xiaofu deeply breathed in the fresh, frosty air of the mountain range. He felt invigorated, and his entire body was filled with energy. Bastard, he almost burned me to death. In Du Xiaofu's arms, the little demon's voice sounded. It had also been burned in the medicinal cauldron for 11 days, and had suffered for 11 days for nothing. One could imagine how it felt. You secretly ate the green bamboo spirit fruit, but that person didn't make things difficult for you. That's strange. Zhen Qingchuan's voice sounded as he spoke to Du Xiaofu. I owe him a favor. Du Xiaofu nodded. No matter what the reason was, the other party didn't make things difficult for him, but he really did owe him a favor. It won't be too late to repay the favor you owe him when you have the strength in the future. After Zhen Qingchun finished speaking to Du Xiaofu, he immediately said, Be careful, there's someone up ahead. Du Xiaofu's gaze immediately turned to the front. At this moment, under the slightly brightening sky, there was a faintly discernible figure of an elder sitting on a hillside. That figure seemed to give off a sense of déjà vu. It seems like an acquaintance. Du Xiaofu's gaze moved slightly, and he slowly walked over. When he released his mental energy to probe, he didn't sense any aura fluctuations from the other party's body. When Du Xiaofu was able to clearly see the other party, his eyes widened. He didn't expect it to be an acquaintance. The other party was an elder in his 60s or 70s. He had thick eyebrows, big eyes, a big nose, and a wide mouth. His hair was messy like dried grass, and his face was rather pale. Only his eyes were bright, but they gave off a lifeless feeling. It was the elder that he had met at the back of the mountain, and he had spent his entire life in Tianwu Academy. The elder was also looking at Du Xiaofu. He hadn't shaved for a long time, and his face was like a barren land filled with grass. Coupled with the wrinkles on his face, if one suddenly looked at him, they would really think that he was a savage. When the elder saw that it was Du Xiaofu, a smile appeared on his face as he said, Brat, it's you again. Are you slacking off again? Hee, I'm running for my life. Du Xiaofu smiled. He didn't know why, but when he saw the elder, he felt a special sense of familiarity. After which, he looked at the elder with a puzzled gaze and asked, Why are you here so early? This place should be quite far from the Chor house. How did you get here? Actually, it's not that far. I have some status in the academy, so I have a demonic beast as a mount. The elder smiled and turned to look at Du Xiaofu. He smiled and said, Why are you still here? Aren't you going to watch the show today? What show? Du Xiaofu asked. Don't tell me you don't know. The elder looked at Du Xiaofu and said, Today, Guyu from the Divine Radiance Court challenged a student from Tianwu Academy. It's quite a show. Divine Radiance Court. Du Xiaofu's gaze flickered. He then shook his head and said, I'm not interested. I don't usually watch shows. Hearing this, the elder's gaze flickered, and he smiled at Du Xiaofu. That's true. As a nominal student, there's nothing much for you to watch. Anyway, you won't be able to help much. However, I'm afraid that the students from Tianwu Academy won't be able to contend against him. It's said that Gu Yu is too powerful. Yesterday, his flood dragon mount severely injured a senior student by the name of Du Xiaoman. Uncle, what did you say? Du Xiaofu's expression changed drastically as he stared at the old man. His eyes, which were filled with indifference a moment ago, were now filled with a chilling intent. He hurriedly asked the old man, Uncle, are you saying that Du Xiaoman is seriously injured? That's right. I didn't hear it wrong. She was injured by the flood dragon mount of that young man by the name of Guyu. However, I heard that with the care of the Academy's medicinal talisman masters, that young lady is fine. However, that young man by the name of Guyu isn't willing to give up. He said that he wants to challenge a student from Tianwu Academy today. After the old man finished speaking, he slightly straightened his back and stretched, after which he looked towards Du Xiaofu and said, Kid, why are you in such a hurry? Could it be that you want to deal with that youth called Guyu? That's right, that's my intention. Du Xiaofu could no longer remain calm. Someone actually dared to injure his sister, and to such a severe extent. How could he let that person off? No matter who that lad was, he had to take revenge first. It's said that the young man by the name of Guyu isn't easy to deal with. If you want to go, you have to be careful. The elder's beard moved slightly. He then looked at Du Xiaofu and smiled. Lad, Actually, I already know who you are. Recently, your name has been spreading throughout the academy. There are even portraits of you everywhere. You're Du Xiaofu, right? Chapter 263. Du Xiaofu looked at the elder and nodded, not denying it. Are you really going to deal with that young man called Guyu? Right now. The enforcers of the academy and the elders of the academy are all hunting you down. If you appear, I'm afraid they will surround you as well, the elder said with a faint smile. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu frowned slightly. If he were to appear, he would definitely attract the attention of the enforcers of the academy and the elders. How about I give you an idea? The old man looked at Du Xiaofu and said with some confidence, I'm an old man here. Generally speaking, my methods are very effective. Then I'll have to trouble you, uncle. Du Xiaofu naturally wouldn't reject the elder's kind intentions. You have points on you, right? The elder smiled at Du Xiaofu and said, You can't have too few points. Otherwise it would be useless. Du Xiaofu nodded and said, I do have some points. It shouldn't be too little. Du Xiaofu remembered that he had quite a lot of points on him. After all, he hadn't collected so many points from the people on the martial roll for nothing. Hearing this, the elder smiled and nodded. Then it's fine. When the time comes, you can go to a place. As long as you go there, the elders of the academy won't be able to do anything to you. You can also go into seclusion to comprehend. No one will be able to do anything to you. Early in the morning, the first rays of the rising sun shone over the land. The Peace Square was the most lively place in Tianwu Academy. This square was called the Peace Square, but it wasn't peaceful at all. Usually, all the challenges between the students would be held in the Peace Square. Many students had already gathered in the spacious Peace Square early in the morning. As time passed, the number of students continued to increase. The hustle and bustle of the crowd spread out in all directions along with the clamor. Today was the day that an outsider from the Divine Light Court challenged Tianwu Academy. This kind of challenge had huge implications. Moreover, almost all the students of Tianwu Academy knew how terrifying the challenger was. The young man called Guyu was extremely powerful. Just a demonic beast mount alone was comparable to a martial Lord Realm expert. On the Peace Square, many of Tianwu Academy's instructors had already arrived. Many of the experts on the martial roll are here. Other than those who are in seclusion or carrying out missions, the rest are here. Qin Lang, Bing Qian, Li Zhuding. Most of the experts on the martial roll are here. Tai Wu Lu, Zhang Lu, and the others are here as well. Discussions would occasionally ring out from the crowd. At this moment, many experts on the martial ranking had arrived, which attracted the attention and discussion of many students. Normally, there would be quite a few people, but now, quite a few people had appeared in the surroundings of the square. As the crowd of Tianwu, the Peace Square, Tianwu Academy. Other than those who were the students, and students, the Atlas's Atlas School. Academy Lucas NNs with the Atlas with Feng Lu Xiao's most. Du Amn NNNG, Lon, Shalong's Du Mu, Long Shaji Gigi with the Shemu. The elders, Tianatang to the Tianto, accompanied the academy to the elders and were accompanying. To accompany the accompanied at this moment, although the elders and instructors looked indifferent, there was a hint of graveness in their eyes. Gongsun Dao stood quietly with a face full of wrinkles and a sparse goatee. He gave off a sage-like vibe, but if he didn't smile, it would look like the wrinkles on a bitter gourd. Behind Gongsun Dao, other than the cultivators with extraordinary auras, there were also several young men and women. These young men and women all had extraordinary bearings. Some had sword-like eyebrows, some had burly figures, and some were handsome and noble. However, the aura they emitted gave off an oppressive feeling that was not inferior to some middle-aged experts. Ayo! Just at this moment, a roar resounded through the sky. A colossal creature that was dozens of feet long flew out from a mountain peak, not far away. Then, under the gazes of the crowd, A ferocious flood dragon covered in red and green flew through the sky. Light overflowed in all directions, and the scales all over its body covered it. It stirred up waves of air in the surrounding space. Everywhere it passed, the space seemed to be distorted. Is that the profound cloud scarlet flood dragon on the heavenly beast roll? What a powerful demonic beast on the heavenly beast roll. It is indeed terrifying. Around the Peace Plaza, the students of Tianwu Academy raised their heads and looked at the massive, profound cloud scarlet flood dragon in astonishment. An astonishing aura emanated from the profound cloud scarlet flood dragon, as if it was the king of all beasts. Dragons were demonic beasts that possessed the bloodline of dragons. Any demonic beast that had the bloodline of a dragon was terrifyingly powerful. On the back of the profound cloud scarlet flood dragon, a 16 to 17-year-old youth stood. His handsome face was perfect, with long eyelashes and eyebrows that reached his temples. His eyes were bright and enchanting, and he was exceptionally handsome. Is he Gu Yu from the Divine Radiance Court? He is indeed an extraordinary youth. It is said that Gu Yu possesses the legendary spiritual vein physique, a heaven-defying talent. That's not all. I heard that Gu Yu is only 17 years old, but he has already reached perfect meridian spirit realm. Perfect meridian spirit realm at 17 years old. That's too terrifying. Discussions broke out in the surroundings, and many students were dumbfounded. That youth called Gu Yu possessed terrifying talent. Since they were able to enter Tianwu Academy, they were naturally talented. However, when compared to Gu Yu, the difference between them was like heaven and earth. They couldn't be compared at all. What a terrifying youth! What powerful talent! At the edge of the Peace Plaza, Ouyang Shuang raised her eyes and looked at the youth on the profound cloud scarlet flood dragon in the air. A trace of astonishment flashed through her eyes. That youth is too powerful. I'm afraid that no one among the freshmen will be a match for him today. Even those below the top 10 on the Marshall ranking won't be able to do anything. If those in the top 10 on the Marshall ranking were to fight, winning would be equivalent to losing. Du Xiaoman, who was beside Ouyang Shuang, said softly. Her face was still pale, but it seemed like she was fine. If Du Xiaofu was here, he might be able to fight, Ouyang Shuang said. I just heard the news from the teacher. Third brother is fine and has already escaped from Elder Zhou. Du Xiaoman smiled bitterly. She didn't know whether she should be happy or not. I also heard the news. He has indeed escaped. Ouyang Shuang smiled bitterly. It's about time. Is there anyone in Tianwu Academy who dares to fight with me? Riding on the profound cloud scarlet flood dragon, Gu Yu had a playful smile on his lips. He looked at the thousands of Tianwu Academy students in the Peace Plaza with disdain in his eyes. Arrogance flickered in his eyes, and his voice was filled with profound energy. His voice reverberated throughout the Peace Plaza. The Tianwu Academy students looked at each other, feeling indignant. However, no one dared to step forward. Sensing the aura of the profound cloud scarlet flood dragon, everyone knew that they wouldn't be able to withstand a single attack from the demonic beast. Cheng Shengnan looked at the Peace Plaza. Her graceful figure attracted many gazes from the surroundings, but her expression remained unchanged and she exuded a noble aura. Seeing that there was no response from the Tianwu Academy students, Gu Yu looked at the surroundings and sneered. Tianwu Academy, your reputation is overblown. You don't even have anyone willing to accept my challenge. What a joke. In the future, you might as well change your name to Coward Academy. His cold and provocative words entered the ears of the Tianwu Academy students, and many of them were enraged. At this moment, the elders and instructors of Tianwu Academy had ugly expressions on their faces. This is too insulting. I really want to go up and teach that brat a lesson. We aren't a match for him. It's fine if we embarrass ourselves, but don't drag the academy down with us. Who do you think you are? I really want to go up and teach that brat a lesson. In the crowd, Zhu Ding's eyes were filled with rage. As a disciple of Tianwu Academy, how could he tolerate such provocative words? Don't be rash. I'm afraid that we aren't a match for him either. That brat from the Divine Radiance Court possesses a spiritual pulse physique, and he is at the perfect pulse spirit realm. Only those in the top 10 of the martial ranking would stand a chance against him, Qin Lang said. At this moment, he was looking at the arrogant young man in the air and gritted his teeth. That brat is still young. Even if those in the top 10 of the martial ranking were to make a move against him, it would still be an unfair victory. If we were to lose, the reputation of Tianwu Academy would be tarnished, Guo Qing said furiously. Elder son, Gu Yu is too impudent. Doesn't he know that Tianwu Academy has already arranged for students to teach him a lesson today? If Tianwu Academy goes easy on him, I'm afraid that lad will continue to disregard the rules. At the edge of the square, Gong Sun Dao said to Elder Sunday, hearing those words. Elder Sun and the other elders of Tianwu Academy glanced at one another, speechless. Ha 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 ha. In the air, on the back of the scarlet cloud flood dragon, Gu Yu burst into laughter. It seems like no one in Tianwu Academy dares to accept my challenge. Didn't they say that there's an arrogant martial ranking in Tianwu Academy? Could it be that even those on the martial ranking don't dare to step out? Are all of you cowards? Don't worry. Even if you lose, I won't take your lives. At the very most, I will just trample on you. His voice reverberated in the ears of everyone in Tianwu Academy, and it was exceptionally ear-piercing. I can't hold it in any more. Don't hold me back. Even if we lose, we'll teach that brat a lesson. Don't be rash. If we lose, that brat will definitely humiliate our Tianwu Academy even more. The students of Tianwu Academy in the surroundings of the Peace Square went into an uproar. Their eyes were bloodshot, and they were filled with rage. Even though they knew that they would lose, there were quite a few who wanted to challenge Gu Yu. However, they were held back by the students who were sober. Bastard! I'm willing to give anyone who dares to trample on that brat right now 10,000 points. A robust young man among the crowd flew into a rage. He seemed to be an expert on the martial ranking as well, but he knew that he wasn't a match for Gu Yu. Clenching his fists tightly, he could only gnash his teeth in hatred. What a laughable Tianwu Academy! Cowards who don't even dare to accept my challenge. Such a Tianwu Academy should be disbanded as soon as possible. Glancing disdainfully at the snowy surroundings of Tianwu Academy, Gu Yu sneered on the back of the scarlet cloud flood dragon. At this moment, the elders and instructors of Tianwu Academy were also gritting their teeth and clenching their fists tightly. It was as though they had been slapped in the face, and their faces flushed red. Bastard! Where are the top 10 fellows on the martial ranking? Let them chop you into pieces. Such humiliation left the students of Tianwu Academy furious. Many of them were already clenching their fists tightly, and veins were popping out on their foreheads. Roar! Suddenly, the deep roar of a tiger sounded from the horizon. When Ouyang Shuang heard the roar, she raised her head abruptly. The roar came from the king-scaled demonic tiger. At the same time, along with the roar, a loud bellow reverberated across the sky. Who is the bastard called Gu Yu? Step out obediently for this young master. 9 chapters have arrived, and this is still a long chapter. Little you, continue writing. The promised 10 chapters will definitely be completed. Chapter 264. Following the loud roar, everyone in Tianwu Academy, regardless of whether they were students, instructors, or even elders, turned their gazes toward the direction where the roar came from. In that instant, the guests from Tianwu Academy also turned their gazes in that direction. On the other hand, the gazes of Gong Sun Dao and the others behind him turned unnatural. What a familiar voice! Among the crowd, Bing Qianli, Zhu Ding, Qin Lang, Guo Qing, Xiang Tianin, and the others felt a sense of familiarity from that roar. Roar! The roar of a tiger was deafening, and a violent gale blew across the sky. Right at that moment, a massive flying tiger covered in king-pattern scales appeared before everyone's eyes. It roared savagely. The massive tiger spread its wings and circled in the air. The might of a demonic beast king was intimidating, and the pressure of a demonic beast king spread across the area. Walala! The king-scaled demonic tiger flapped its wings, bringing with it 2 powerful gales. With a few flaps, it appeared in the sky. At this moment, a blue-robed young man was standing on the back of the king-scaled demonic tiger. The young man looked to be around 16 to 17 years old. His youthful face was more resolute and determined than his peers. His eyebrows were as sharp as swords, and his eyes were clear. He exuded a domineering and sharp aura. It's him. That savage young man is here. Du Xiaofu, it's Du Xiaofu. That savage fellow is here. That savage fellow seems to be here to deal with Guyu. After a short moment of silence, someone recognized Du Xiaofu. During this period of time, Du Xiaofu's name had spread throughout Tianwu Academy. His savage reputation had spread throughout the academy, and his portrait was plastered everywhere. Why is that fellow here? Among the crowd, Ouyang Shuang and Du Xiaoman stared at each other in confusion. However, when the two of them saw the young man, the slight frown on their faces disappeared as they heaved a sigh of relief. It's Du Xiaofu, that savage brat. Why is he here? Bing Qianli, Xiang Tianin, Zhu Ding, Guo Qing, and the rest looked at each other. However, their eyes were filled with joy for some unknown reason. At this moment, the elders and instructors of Tianwu Academy were also overjoyed. Even Elder Liao and Elder Fu had smiles on their faces as they breathed sighs of relief. Why did that brat come by himself? Elder Sun, Elder He Hu Murongxi, and the rest exchanged glances as smiles appeared on their faces. Upon hearing Du Xiaofu shout, it seemed like the scourge of Tianwu Academy was here to find trouble with Guyu. Just yesterday, all of the elders and enforcers of Tianwu Academy, as well as many seniors, wished that they could capture Du Xiaofu immediately. At this moment, when everyone from Tianwu Academy saw Du Xiaofu, joy appeared on their faces. No one had expected such a turn of events. He's here. Among the crowd in the plaza, Chang Yan, Du Qi, Dianqin, Qing Chao, and the other outstanding freshmen had ripples in their eyes. It's him. Among the hundreds of guests from Tianwu Academy, a lady in a light blue dress with a slender waist and supple skin looked at the blue-robed young man with ripples in her eyes. Chang Shengnan had the same reaction as the blue-robed lady, looking at the current king-scaled demonic tiger and the young man on its back. Chang Xingnan's eyes could no longer remain calm. Her delicate hand involuntarily touched half of her perfectly round buttocks. Her eyes fluctuated and her silver teeth slightly clenched. The person who came was Du Xiaofu. When Du Xiaofu heard that his elder sister, Du Xiaoman, was injured, he was naturally worried. When he heard that the person and beast that injured his elder sister were in the Peace Plaza, Du Xiaofu wanted to rush over. However, he didn't expect that he would encounter the king-scaled demonic tiger. After the king-scaled demonic tiger followed Ouyang Shuang back to Tianwu Academy, it had been searching for Du Xiaofu under Ouyang Shuang's arrangements. Coincidentally, they met again. What surprised Du Xiaofu was that the king-scaled demonic tiger seemed to have obtained some benefits during this period of time and had broken through to the pulse spirit realm, Nirvana realm. The sudden loud cry in the air caused Guyu to tremble, after which his gaze firmly landed on Du Xiaofu's body. As he gazed at the youth, who seemed to be around the same age as him, the expression between Guyu's brows became a little colder. Some chilliness flashed across his arrogant eyes as he stepped on the scarlet cloud dragon and asked, "Who are you?" "It's none of your business who I am. Are you that bastard called Guyu?" Du Xiaofu swept his gaze across the surroundings and immediately saw Ouyang Shuang and his elder sister, Du Xiaoman, who stood out among the crowd. His heart relaxed slightly. However, when he saw the pale face of his elder sister, Du Xiaoman, from afar, his gaze landed on Gu Yu again. This time, his gaze was filled with coldness. "Bastard, you're courting death." Gu Yu's handsome face was instantly enraged. The other party actually called him a bastard over and over again, not putting him in his eyes at all. How could he not be enraged? Roar! Sensing Gu Yu's anger, the Scarlet Cloud Dragon let out a savage roar. Its vast aura surged like a storm, suppressing the sky. Runes surged and light spread out. At this moment, the aura of the Scarlet Cloud Dragon was enough to make all beasts submit. The weaker disciples of Qianwu Academy felt a piercing pain in their eardrums. The profound energy in their body stagnated as they trembled in fear. Roar! The king-scaled demonic tiger didn't show any signs of weakness. It let out a soul-shaking roar and flapped its wings, bringing with it a tornado-like spatial current that swept across the sky. Especially the king-scaled demonic tiger's claws and wings. There was a faint fluctuation of mysterious talisman patterns. It emitted a faint golden light, and there was a domineering sharpness in its fierceness. Under such a tyrannical aura, the king-scaled demonic tiger was able to withstand the pressure of the Scarlet Cloud Dragon despite the difference in their cultivations. In fact, when the tyrannical aura of the king-scaled demonic tiger spread out, the Scarlet Cloud Dragon's ferocious gaze revealed a faint trace of doubt and fear. That king-scaled demonic tiger seems to be extraordinary. It's actually not afraid of the Scarlet Cloud Dragon. Below, there were many vicious gazes that immediately detected the extraordinariness of the king-scaled demonic tiger. Logically speaking, although the king-scaled demonic tiger's cultivation wasn't bad, it was still a big demonic beast on the Earth Beast ranking. If it was compared to the Scarlet Cloud Dragon on the Heavenly Beast ranking, there was still a huge gap. However, at this moment, it was actually able to withstand the pressure of the Scarlet Cloud Dragon's aura despite the difference in their cultivation levels. It was enough to show that it wasn't ordinary. Gu Yu also didn't seem to have expected that the king-scaled demonic tiger on the Earth Beast ranking would be so extraordinary. Originally, he didn't pay much attention to it, but now he began to pay attention to it. Du Xiaofu looked at the Scarlet Cloud Dragon that Gu Yu was riding. From what the old man said, it seemed that this Scarlet Cloud Dragon was the one that injured his elder sister. The Scarlet Cloud Dragon, a demonic beast on the Heavenly Beast ranking. Then Du Xiaofu thought of his own body refinement technique. The first level of the body refinement technique required the use of elixirs to temper one's physical body. However, the second level was far more than that. To cultivate the second level, one needed to consume a lot of demonic beast blood essence. Furthermore, one had to swallow the demonic beast blood essence alive and use the most violent energy contained within the demonic beast blood essence to cleanse the bones and marrow. Moreover, it wasn't something that could be done with ordinary demonic beast blood essence, but the demonic beast blood essence on the Heavenly Beast ranking. The higher the demonic beast level, the more effective its blood essence would be for cleansing the bones and marrow. Ordinary demonic beasts wouldn't have any effect at all. Du Xiaofu had always been paying attention to the demonic beasts on the Heavenly Beast ranking. He originally knew that it wasn't an easy task to find the blood essence of those powerful demonic beasts on the Heavenly Beast ranking. With his strength back then, it was simply courting death. But now, seeing a living Scarlet Cloud Dragon in front of him, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but feel excited. Little Tiger stepped back. As Du Xiaofu's voice fell, he indicated for the king-scaled demonic tiger to hover in the air, before leaping down from the square. He waved his hand for the king-scaled demonic tiger to step back, then raised his head to look at the Scarlet Cloud Dragon and Gu Yu in the air. "Looks like you're that bastard," called Gu Yu. "Hurry up and come down with your Scarlet Cloud Dragon to receive a beating." Du Xiaofu shouted, as if he didn't put Gu Yu in his eyes at all. Gu Yu had never been scolded like this before. Even within the Divine Light Court, he was a peak existence, and deeply loved by the elders of the Divine Light Court. Even his senior brothers and sisters feared and tried to curry favor with him, not to mention his junior brothers and sisters. "Bastard, you're courting death." Gu Yu couldn't bear it any longer. He stomped his foot on the scarlet cloud dragon, anger gushing out from his eyes. "Ayo!" The scarlet cloud dragon roared, a monstrous aura surging from its body, erupting with a terrifying aura. Runes surged on the surface of the huge flood dragon as it swooped down at Du Xiaofu with its ferocious body. Rumble. An ordinary martial marquis wouldn't be able to do anything to a perfect pulse spirit realm scarlet cloud dragon. It spat out runes from its mouth, and a bloody aura gushed out. The runes on the dragon's body shone with dazzling light. Crack, crack! The giant flood dragon swooped down, and before it even got close to the square, with Du Xiaofu as the center, the stone slabs around the square all cracked. Stone slabs flew everywhere, and the sand and pebbles flew everywhere. Cracks appeared on the ground one after another. Such terrifying strength caused the hearts of the surrounding Tianwu Academy students to jump. Their hearts were in their throats for Du Xiaofu. Boom! The dragon swooped down like a bolt of lightning, arriving before Du Xiaofu in an instant. The ferocious mouth was like a bloody hole that wanted to swallow Du Xiaofu whole. Its aura suppressed the sky and filled the earth. Du Xiaofu moved. He raised his head to look at the dark cloud crimson worm that swooped down ferociously from midair. Suddenly, the golden talisman markings on his body surged, and an overbearing, fierce, and terrifying aura exploded out like a torrent. Golden light soared into the sky, and there seemed to be a golden-winged roc flapping its wings. In that instant, Du Xiaofu opened his palm like a fan. Golden runes flickered on his palm as he slapped out. Wang! Du Xiaofu's pale golden runes flickered as he slapped out. The runes were densely packed, and they caused the space to tremble, forming an arc-shaped golden dent in space. It was like the wings of a golden-winged roc. In that instant, it was like a bolt of lightning, crushing everything in its path as it slammed onto the ferocious head of the scarlet cloud dragon. A terrifying aura was released, carrying a domineering will. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered with golden light as he looked disdainfully at the surroundings. Just the terrifying aura alone was enough to intimidate the scarlet cloud dragon. Wang Wang! The golden talisman glowed brightly as if it could suppress everything. The space buzzed with the sound of wind and thunder, and a storm swept through the sky. Ayo-ho! Ayo-ho! The scarlet cloud flood dragon screamed miserably. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, the head of the scarlet cloud flood dragon, one of the top-ranked demonic beasts on the heavenly beast list, was smashed into smithereens by Du Xiaofu's palm. Crack, crack! The rigid head of the scarlet cloud dragon was smashed into pieces. Its skull was smashed, and its flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Then its huge body was flipped over by Du Xiaofu's hand and heavily smashed into the plaza. Everything was like a hot knife through butter, easily destroyed. Boom! The dragon landed on the ground, and the gravel, stone slabs, and dust were all swept up like a tornado. The entire square began to shake violently, and cracks began to spread out into the distance. The energy dissipated, and at this moment, the gazes of the entire plaza were as if they had seen the most terrifying thing. Everyone was dumbfounded. After a long time, no one was able to recover from their shock. The plaza was silent, a deathly silence. It's another big chapter. After 22 hours of continuous writing, I only managed to complete 10 chapters. The first few chapters were very difficult to write, so I wrote slowly. The later chapters were better, so I was faster. But at least I managed to complete 10 chapters. Once again, I would like to thank Commander Qing Tian, Commander Faintly Smiling, and the beautiful Vermilion Bird for their rewards. In 2 days, Little You will arrange another explosion. As for yesterday's fresh flowers, I don't know if it was because Little You's update speed was slow, so there were very few fresh flowers. Once again, I would like to ask for fresh flowers to thank everyone. In addition, today's update will probably only be released in the evening. Little you needs to sleep first. Chapter 265. The gigantic corpse of the Scarlet Cloud Dragon lay on the messy plaza, causing everyone's hearts to stop beating. The head of a terrifying Scarlet Cloud Dragon, a demonic beast on the heavenly beasts list that was comparable to an ordinary martial lord, had been smashed apart by a single slap from that youth. What kind of unparalleled strength was that? Everyone twitched. Their eyes twitched. Their facial muscles twitched. Gong Sun Dao and the people behind him were all twitching. The youth who had suddenly appeared had actually killed a Scarlet Cloud Dragon that was comparable to a martial lord. They were unable to accept this fact. How could there be such a powerful youth in Tianwu Academy? The elders of Tianwu Academy were also in disbelief. To think that the savage youth was so terrifying. Then the faces of Elder Sun, Elder He Hu, Elder Shangguan, and even Elder Liao slowly turned into smiles. It was an absolute smile, as if all the grievances from before had been released in that instant. Is this the son of that bastard Du Tingxian and Ao Tong? Mu Rongxi looked at the slightly skinny youth in the plaza from afar. At this moment his handsome face also twitched violently as he muttered, "He is indeed savage! Sigh, why is this bastard so heavy-handed? Doesn't he know how to be gentler? He is too impolite in front of the guests." Elder He whose eyes moved, a slight smile on his face. He then turned to Elder Gong Sun Dao beside him and said, "Elder Gong Sun, this brat from our academy is still young and does not know the immensity of heaven and earth. He does not know how to be disciplined and does not know how to control his strength. Who would have thought that he would be able to kill a Scarlet Cloud Dragon? I wonder if the Scarlet Cloud Dragon is an extremely rare creature in the Divine Court. If it is, then our Tianwu Academy is willing to take responsibility and not let the Divine Light Court suffer." Hearing Elder He whose words, Gong Sun Dao's complexion became even more unsightly. His eyes twitched inwardly as he squeezed out a smile on his bitter, gourd-like face. "It's all right. They're all still young. It's normal for them to not be able to control their strength. Although the Scarlet Cloud Dragon is not weak, it's nothing to the Divine Light Court." However, Gong Sun Dao felt his heart bleeding the moment he said those words. The Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon was a demonic beast ranked on the Heavenly Beasts ranking. How could it not be important? If Tianwu Academy had to pay for it, the Divine Radiance Court would be utterly humiliated. It seems like the Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon isn't much to the Radiant Court, but it is still extremely rare to our Tianwu Academy. Since that's the case, I'll have to trouble Elder Gong Sun to gift a few of them to our Tianwu Academy in the future. Of course, the more the merrier. Elder Gong Sun, please don't be stingy. He who immediately asked Gong Sun Dao for the Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon with an embarrassed expression. It didn't seem like he was joking at all. Hearing Elder He whose words, Gong Sun Dao nearly vomited blood. This he who really dared to ask for more Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragons. There were only 2 Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragons in the entire Divine Radiance Court, and both of them were extremely precious. Now that one of them had been slapped to death, his heart was already bleeding, but this bastard still dared to ask for more. All right, there will be a chance in the future. There will definitely be a chance. As Gong Sun Dao spoke, he was already gnashing his teeth. He wanted nothing more than to kill Elder He Hu. This fellow was definitely trying to embarrass him on purpose. Then I'll have to thank Elder Gong Sun first. Elder He who smiled in satisfaction before saying to Gong Sun Dao, "Why don't we ask the disciples of the Divine Radiance Court to come down? It wouldn't be good if the disciples of the Divine Radiance Court were to be injured. That brat from our academy is really heavy-handed. It's fine. Gu Yu is arrogant, and he deserves to be taught a lesson." Gong Sun Dao's gaze darkened as he squeezed out a smile. "I didn't expect Tianwu Academy to have such an extraordinary student. You have truly broadened my horizons. Elder Gong's son, you might not know about that brat, but he is a right-in student of our Tianwu Academy. He usually does odd jobs in the academy and is extremely mischievous. Recently, we were discussing whether we should expel him from the academy to prevent him from harming the other students. Elder, he who said with a serious expression. He didn't seem to be joking at all. If that brat dares to injure the disciples of the Divine Radiance Court, I will definitely teach him a lesson when I return. I will expel him from the academy as a right-in student. The corners of Gong Sun Dao's mouth twitched violently, and his eyes burned with rage. He felt as though countless horses were galloping across his heart, and he didn't feel good at all. You want to expel a student who does odd jobs? If you have the ability, why don't you do it? If you dare to expel him, I will immediately tie him up and bring him back to the Divine Radiance Court. There are countless words roaring in his heart, but he forcefully swallowed them back down. He was so aggrieved that he couldn't utter a single word, and he felt as though he was going to suffer from internal injuries. Brilliant, truly brilliant. At this moment, all of the Tianwu Academy elders in the surroundings gave Elder, he who a thumbs up in their hearts. To be able to put on airs to such an extent, he was definitely a genius. The only person in Tianwu Academy who had such capabilities was Elder He Hu. Delightful. Looking at how Gong Sun Dao's face was flushed red from being stifled by Elder He Hu, all of the Tianwu Academy elders felt an indescribable satisfaction in their hearts. They had definitely vented their frustrations. Scarlet Flood Dragon. Gu Yu's figure appeared before the Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon. Looking at its lifeless mount, his eyes twitched, and a chilling intent started to spread across his perfect face. So much flood dragon blood, don't let it go to waste. Under the gazes of countless people in the plaza, Du Xiaofu immediately rushed to the Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon's shattered head. Standing before the head of the Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon, he appeared extremely skinny and small. Looking at the blood flowing out from the head of the Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon, his eyes couldn't help but reveal a look of greed. It was unknown whether it was due to the cultivation technique of the golden-winged great rock, but when Du Xiaofu saw the blood of a demonic beast on the heavenly beast list, it was as though he had seen an elixir. He couldn't help but want to swallow it. Brat, you must pay the price for killing my Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon. Staring straight at Du Xiaofu, Gu Yu fixed his gaze on Du Xiaofu. Under the gazes of countless people, he slowly walked towards Du Xiaofu. Junior Gu Yu is angry. In a corner of the plaza, the several youths behind Gong Sun Dao moved. At this moment, Gu Yu was already angry. Gu Yu was a young genius who had recently risen in the Divine Light Court. Among the younger generation, even compared to the various major factions, he was an existence that had reached the pinnacle. Even among the disciples of the same age in the other major factions, it was difficult for anyone to be mentioned in the same breath as Gu Yu. Not long ago, Gu Yu had fought with a cultivator who had truly stepped into the initial stage of the martial marquis realm. Although he did not kill that martial marquis, he had severely injured that martial marquis, causing him to flee in panic. Feeling Gu Yu's gaze, Du Xiaofu slightly raised his head. There were some fluctuations in his clear eyes, and he slowly walked out. Their eyes met. The two youths stood in the center of the plaza, with the corpse of the Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon surrounding them as a fierce backdrop. At this moment, the atmosphere of the entire plaza was tense, as if swords had been drawn. Swoosh, swoosh! Around the Peace Square, everyone regained their senses and looked at the two youths. Every student of Tianwu Academy knew that Gu Yu of the Divine Light Court was extraordinary. He possessed the spiritual pulse physique and was, at the great perfection, pulse spiritual realm. He was definitely an existence that was unreachable among his peers. But at the same time, to the students of Tianwu Academy, the name Du Xiaofu was like a thunderclap that reverberated in their ears. Du Xiaofu was a new student who had just joined Tianwu Academy, and he was only a right-in student. But the things that Du Xiaofu had done were enough to shock everyone. from killing 2 of the seniors and crippling 3 of them, to arresting and robbing the enforcement team, to severely injuring Taihu of the martial ranking, and to severely injuring the 4 captains of the martial ranking. It was said that the entire second team of the enforcement team was trampled by Du Xiaofu alone, and even the demonic puppet Li Yunxiao was helpless against him. There were also rumors that Du Xiaofu had destroyed the herb farm of the academy, stole the spiritual herbs that the elders were looking after, and rose to the top 10 of the wanted list in one fell swoop. In the eyes of the students of Tianwu Academy, all of these incidents could only be described with the word savage. At this moment, all of the seniors held their breaths when they sensed the tense atmosphere in the plaza. They knew that the upcoming battle wouldn't be a simple one. It would represent the prestige and reputation of Tianwu Academy and the Divine Light Court. One of them was a famous genius who possessed the spiritual pulse physique. The other was a savage youth who had committed countless atrocities and swept through all of them. The moment he appeared, he killed a flood dragon of the heavenly beasts, ranking that was comparable to a martial marquis. At this moment, no one could predict the outcome of the battle between the 2 youths. Du Xiaofu was savage, but Guyu wasn't easy to deal with either. The elders of Tianwu Academy weren't confident either. They knew how powerful Guyu of the Divine Light Court was, and that was why they were the most worried. After all, Guyu was already at the perfect meridian spirit realm. On the other hand, Du Xiaofu hadn't even stepped into the meridian spirit realm. Gongsun Dao's gaze landed on Du Xiaofu and his eyelids twitched. If Guyu didn't trample on that brat today, his visit to Tianwu Academy would have the opposite effect, and the Divine Light Court would have been humiliated. Of course, in Gongsun Dao's heart, Guyu wouldn't lose. That lad from Tianwu Academy possessed savage brute force and terrifying talent. However, if he were to truly compare with Guyu, he should still be a little lacking. After all, Guyu possessed the spiritual pulse physique. Lao San, teach that Guyu a lesson. Amidst the crowd, a quick-witted youth with bright eyes recovered from his shock. He was Sun Ji, Lao San from their dormitory. At this moment, Lao San appeared viciously. Lao San, beat that fellow up. Don't hold back. That Guyu is too arrogant. Lao San, beat him up. Zhang Wei and Wu Qingfeng were among the crowd as well, and the 2 of them shouted loudly. Du Xiaofu turned his head slightly and looked in the direction of the 3 of them. Seeing that Lao San, and Lao San were all there, a smile appeared on his face. Du Xiaofu, beat Guyu up. From today onwards, we'll forget about the matter of you snatching my Qinkuan pouch. The 89th ranked on the martial ranking, the captain of the enforcement team, Xiang Tianin, walked out and said to Du Xiaofu. Bing Qianli, Qin Lang, Zhu Ding, Guiqing, and the other experts on the martial ranking also walked forward. Looking at Du Xiaofu, they shouted, Du Xiaofu, beat that brat up. From today onwards, we'll forget about the matter of you injuring us as well. Du Xiaofu, beat him up. Ferocious youth, beat him up. Let him know the strength of our Tianwu Academy. Ferocious youth, make your move. Don't hold back. Du Xiaofu, beat him up on behalf of the honorary students. In an instant, the Peace Square was filled with a huge commotion. All of the students were in an uproar. All of the grievances and repressed emotions seemed to have found an outlet at this moment. All of the students of Tianwu Academy exploded, and their voices reverberated across the sky like thunder. Little you, continue to work hard and beg for fresh flowers. Chapter 266. To think that this brat would be so popular, Morongshi murmured as he looked at the blue-robed youth in the plaza, gently waving his fan. Is this brat Du Xiaofu? Among the guests of Tianwu Academy, all of them had their eyes fixed on him. Within the Du family group, a burly man with distinct facial features was also looking at the blue-robed youth from afar with his deep, dark eyes. As he listened to the waves of voices that were like thunder in the surroundings, the gaze on Guyu's perfect and handsome face turned frivolous, and his clear voice revealed a strand of nobility and arrogance that was difficult to conceal. He looked at Du Xiaofu and said coldly, "In a while, you'll die a very miserable death, and they won't be able to say another word." Looking at Gu Yu, Du Xiaofu did not say anything, as though he had not heard anything. His clear eyes were calm, but the way he looked at Gu Yu was a little strange. "Brat, are you afraid? Make your move. If I make my move, you won't even have the chance to make your move." Looking at Du Xiaofu's calm expression, Gu Yu felt his heart sink. The other party did not seem to care about him at all. When had he ever been looked down upon like this? Du Xiaofu finally raised his head and looked at Gu Yu. Suddenly, he could not help but curse. "Little bastard, are you done being noisy? Being so wishy-washy, like a woman. No matter what you say, I will still beat you up." As Du Xiaofu's voice sounded out, a chilling aura violently gushed out from the perfect young man's face. The gaze in his eyes was as cold as steel, and a vigorous and vast aura suddenly erupted like a volcano at this moment, directly rising and surging, faintly bringing with it the sound of thunder as it resounded. Rumble. The aura was like thunder whistling through the air. At this moment, Gu Yu's eyes had already turned into the color of lightning. Lightning flickered in his eyes, and a terrifying Xian Qi, accompanied by dazzling runes, surged out, as though it could destroy and suppress everything. What a powerful youth, as expected of a spiritual pulse body. Not far from the Peace Square, on a mountain top, there were a dozen or so young men and women standing there. All of them were very powerful, and they stood quietly and solemnly. Spiritual pulse body, heavenly talent, very powerful. Among the dozen or so young men and women, there was an otherworldly woman who spoke softly. Her beautiful eyes shone brightly. Beside the girl, an extraordinary young man exuded an aura that seemed to dominate the sky, suppressing the mountains and rivers. He then said, "The spiritual meridian body is indeed powerful." Hulala! On the plaza, in a short instant, profound energy surged out explosively from Gu Yu's body, and it spread out with dazzling talisman markings, causing the surrounding space to practically instantly form an enormous storm. Within the enormous tempest, Gu Yu's entire body was covered in dazzling divine lights, while coldness surged, and a terrifying pressure accompanied him. It caused others to tremble, and even their souls were on the verge of trembling. Boom! The surrounding space warped, and under the terrifying aura, none of the Tianwu Academy students dared to get close to Zhang Xian. It was as though they would be torn to shreds the moment they got close. Under such a frightening pressure, even the elders of the Tianwu Academy couldn't help but turn grave. The pressure coming from the storm of runes shocked everyone. No one dared to believe that a spiritual pulse realm cultivator could be so powerful. Who can withstand the might of a spiritual pulse body? Gong Sandaoji and the crowd behind him sneered. Who can withstand the might of a spiritual pulse body? At this moment, all of the Tianwu Academy students held their breaths. The pressure coming from the storm of runes left everyone in the plaza dumbfounded. Du Xiaofu, you have to withstand it. Sensing the terror of the spiritual pulse body, the Tianwu Academy students clenched their fists tightly. That terrifying pressure was something that no one could withstand. Within the terrifying storm of runes, Gu Yu was like a celestial being. His elegance was unparalleled, and the runes around him were incomparably resplendent. Lightning flickered in Gu Yu's eyes, and there was an indescribable aura around him. Step by step, he walked toward Du Xiaofu. Connecting with the terrifying storm in the surroundings, he gradually enveloped Du Xiaofu within. Walala! The storm of runes moved, crushing Du Xiaofu within it. Ka, 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 ka. At this moment, the ground around Du Xiaofu trembled as though there was an earthquake. Cracks appeared on the ground, and the entire plaza began to tremble. But at this moment, Du Xiaofu's slender figure stood quietly in the plaza. Despite being engulfed by the storm of runes, his slender figure seemed to have taken root, and he didn't move in the slightest. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu's calm and clear eyes were looking at Guyu. Faintly, some golden brilliance began to appear within his eyes. Standing within the storm of runes, Guyu's robes fluttered in the wind. Lightning flickered in his eyes, and a chilling killing intent swept through the air. "Lad, you killed my mount. Today I won't let you off." As he bellowed, the chilling intent around Guyu reached its peak. "Chi!" When the last word was spoken, Guyu's figure suddenly shot out like an arrow. It was as if he had passed through space, and his speed was extremely terrifying. In a flash, he had appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. In this instant, Guyu went all out in his attack. His aura was incomparably terrifying, and runes surged around him. Lightning flickered, and a terrifying aura swept through the air, causing the ground around him to collapse. Since the other party was able to kill his mount with a single strike, he had never underestimated the other party. Divine lightning explosion. Guyu bellowed as he punched out. Lightning crackled on his fist, and an explosion sounded in the air. It was as though there was nothing it couldn't destroy, causing the space to tremble violently. It was as though the entire space was about to explode from this terrifying punch. How powerful! Ordinary martial lords wouldn't dare to stand against him. All of the spectators were astonished. Guyu's strength was unbelievable. Will Du Xiaofu be able to withstand such a powerful opponent? Everyone from Tianwu Academy held their breaths. Their scalps turned numb, and their hair stood on end. At this moment, the gazes of the guests from Tianwu Academy were trembling in fear. Right at the same time that the terrifying fist flashed explosively towards him, Du Xiaofu finally moved. His clear eyes flickered with lights that were like bolts of lightning as golden light spread out from his body, causing his robe to flutter while talisman markings shot into the sky and swept through the sky. With his body as the center, numerous rifts collapsed from beneath his feet. Boom! In an instant, the thin young man was enveloped by a golden halo. It was as though a golden radiance was gushing out from his body. His aura surged, and it seemed as though a terrifying sovereign was awakening. At this instant, the earth rumbled, and space trembled violently. The thin young man's aura was unparalleled, and his might was unparalleled. Roar! A loud roar sounded from Du Xiaofu's mouth. It was as though a dragon had roared into the heavens, and a divine elephant had trumpeted. In their blurred vision, not many people present were able to see that after Du Xiaofu's roar that sounded like a dragon's roar, and a divine elephant's cry came out, the seals in his hands changed and turned into countless fist seals at lightning speed. Like a peacock spreading its tail, they finally condensed into a single fist seal. Whoa! A deep chanting sound rang out, and inscriptions streaked across the sky. Guyu's fist shot out without any intention of dodging. In a flash, Du Xiaofu's fist collided with Guyu's fist. Lightning flickered in the fist, and thunder rumbled in the sky. Golden light emanated from the fist, and thunder rumbled in the sky. Hung long long. When the two fists collided, a thunder-like muffled sound of energy suddenly resounded between heaven and earth. The sound waves were as though thunder, shaking one's soul. Walala! In an instant, a terrifying energy ripple swept out like a stormy sea, causing people to be dazzled and their hearts to rise and fall. They were indescribably shocked. Crack! At this moment, while everyone was still in shock, they heard a muffled cracking sound in the air, as though someone's bone was breaking. Under the gazes of the crowd, the frightening power of Guyu's fist smashed into Du Xiaofu's body within the dazzling rune energies present in the arena. However, it seemed to have no effect at all, and even Du Xiaofu's body did not budge at all. On the other hand, the power of Du Xiaofu's fist had caused Guyu's fist to start to become paralyzed. When the two fists collided, the fist was the first to shatter. Puff! A golden, overbearing force swept out, crushing everything, and fresh blood suddenly flowed out from Guyu's mouth. The attacking power of the two youths were about the same, but in terms of defensive power, there was a difference between heaven and earth. Sizzle, sizzle! Before Gu Yu could let out a scream from the intense pain of his broken fist, Du Xiaofu had already made his move again, and another punch blasted out. Du Xiaofu's attack was fierce and fast, and did not allow Gu Yu, who was injured in one move, to have the slightest reaction. Rumble, Du Xiaofu's fist, which was wrapped in surging golden talisman inscriptions, was accompanied by the profundity of the mysterious move as he fiercely smashed it towards Gu Yu's face. The fist rapidly enlarged in Gu Yu's lightning eyes, but he was unable to dodge in time and was directly smashed in the face by the fist. Puff! As the fist smashed down, the teeth in Gu Yu's mouth spurted out along with fresh blood. Rumble! Just as Gu Yu spurted out fresh blood from the corner of his mouth, his pupils constricted. He was shocked to see Du Xiaofu's hands move like lightning, and his power was like thunder. Fist imprints were endless, and every fist imprint was wrapped in golden talisman inscriptions as it rushed over. Fist after fist was wrapped in talisman inscriptions, and it was like a storm. Bang! 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 In his panic, Gu Yu was only able to dodge a fist imprint, but the following fist imprints were like maggots in a tarsal bone, and he was utterly unable to dodge as they directly landed on his face. As the fist imprints descended, the defensive talisman inscriptions around Gu Yu's body shattered into pieces, and all of them were directly crushed into pieces by Du Xiaofu's ferocious and overbearing force. Every fist that smashed onto the perfect handsome youth's face caused Gu Yu's footsteps to stagger back a step, and the ground beneath his feet turned into fine powder. Every fist that Du Xiaofu smashed onto the perfect handsome youth's face caused the heartbeat of everyone to quicken, and it was as if their hearts were about to be shattered. Crack! Crack! A low muffled sound that was like thunder sounded out, and Gu Yu's face finally emitted a clear cracking sound as his cheekbone was broken. Puff! As the last fist descended, talisman inscriptions wrapped around the fist imprint, causing Gu Yu's mouth to be filled with blood and teeth, and his body subsequently staggered as he was smashed onto the square. Bang! The terrifying force caused the square to tremble and the ground to crack. Du Xiaofu's face was expressionless as he stepped forward. Golden light flickered in his eyes. He was incomparably domineering and sharp. How dare you hurt my sister? With a stomp of his foot, Du Xiaofu soared high into the sky and then fiercely stomped down, ruthlessly stomping on Gu Yu's body. Rumble! The plaza collapsed and the ground caved in. Du Xiaofu's foot viciously stomped Gu Yu, who had been beaten into a daze, into the ground. Ah! Gu Yu's blood-curdling screams were finally released at this moment. His miserable screams reverberated around the square. Continue the chapter. Chapter 267. Silence. The entire plaza was deathly silent. The scene in the plaza was like a dream to everyone present. Even if they saw it with their own eyes, they still couldn't believe it. Goo goo. After a moment, everyone recovered from their shock. Looking at the scene in the square, they all swallowed their saliva. Gongsun Dao and the experts of the Divine Light Court behind him were also trembling in fear. Gu Yu, who possessed the spiritual vain physique, was a peak existence among his peers in the Divine Light Court. Who would have thought that he would be beaten so badly in Tianwu Academy that he couldn't even activate his martial skills, talent, and spiritual vain spirit? Gu Yu was defeated. He was beaten so badly that he couldn't even retaliate. Everyone was dazzled by the scene and couldn't regain their senses. Huff huff! In Tianwu Academy, Elder Sun, Elder He Hu, Elder Shangguan, Morong Shi, Elder Liao, Elder Fu, and the rest looked at each other. After which, they violently inhaled a breath of cold air and were all speechless. This brat is savage, but I like it. Elder He, who was dumbfounded and couldn't retract his jaw for a long time. Then he let out a long breath and rubbed his palms in excitement. A smile appeared in his eyes. Chung Shungnan's beautiful eyes were also trembling. She didn't think that Gu Yu would be so powerful. Beside Chung Shungnan was a woman with a slender waist and creamy skin. She was wearing a light blue dress. She was elegant and charming. Her beautiful eyes rippled as she murmured, "It seems that Grandpa's eyesight is quite experienced." "Little tiger, collect your prey. On the plaza!" Du Xiaofu shouted to the king-scaled demonic tiger that was hovering in the air. Then he looked at the extremely weak Guyu and ignored him. He stretched out his body and took out a chinquan bag from Guyu's chest and quickly kept it. Roar! The king-scaled demonic tiger roared, and its enormous body flapped its wings, which were 300 feet long. It swooped down with golden talismans, wrapped around its sharp claws. 4 of its claws grabbed the corpse of the scarlet cloud flood dragon. Then it flapped its wings and soared into the sky. "Let's go." Du Xiaofu took a step forward. Like a cicada in 7 steps, he immediately stomped on the ground and soared into the air, landing on the back of the king-scaled demonic tiger. Roar! The king-scaled demonic tiger flapped its wings and flew away as fast as lightning. With a few flaps of its wings, it disappeared from everyone's fearful gazes. That ferocious youth hurried over and miraculously appeared. After violently beating up Guyu, he grabbed a dark cloud scarlet jiao from the heavenly beast rankings and directly disappeared. What a ferocious guy, but it's so satisfying. Xian Tinin's eyes were as bright as the stars. After sucking in a breath of cold air, a smile appeared on his handsome face. It was as if his blood was boiling. So satisfying, so satisfying. Bullshit the genius of the divine court. He's so weak. Body of spiritual veins? What is that? Voices resounded amidst the crowd. The humiliation that the students of Tianwu Academy had suffered previously were vented to their heart's content. The students of Tianwu Academy trembled as they recalled the unbelievable scene from a moment ago. That ferocious youth pummeled Guyu with his fists, and they couldn't help but feel their blood boiling in excitement. "Sister Xiaoman, that fellow seems to be here to deal with Guyu for you. He must have learned that you were injured." Among the excited crowd, Ouyang Shuang's large eyes still contained a shocked expression that did not disappear for a long time. Du Xiaoman smiled charmingly. Her red lips curled up as she said softly, "I didn't expect third brother's strength to improve so quickly. Who knows how he cultivated? It seems like the disciplinary squad won't be able to capture him in the future." Ouyang Shuang smiled. Her eyes were filled with joy. Junior brother Guyu. Behind Gongsun Dao, the few extraordinary young men and women regained their senses after their eyes twitched. Their faces were filled with shock as they rushed toward the square. "Elder Gongsun, I'm sorry. I didn't expect the disciple of your esteemed hall to be so weak. If I knew that he would be so weak, I wouldn't have made a move on that lad." Elder he who looked at Gongsun Dao with an apologetic expression, after which he turned to the teachers behind him and berated, "Why aren't you all taking a look at the injuries of the divine court disciples? Also, look for that lad Du Xiaofu. How can he be so heavy-handed to a guest of the academy? He must be punished properly." "Yes, Elder." At this moment, how could the academy teachers behind him not understand Elder, he whose words? They immediately nodded in understanding, and those who were concerned immediately rushed to the plaza. Upon hearing Elder, he whose words, the faces of Gongsun Dao and the others twitched. They felt so stifled that they couldn't say a single word. Guyu was actually beaten up to the point where he couldn't even retaliate. What else could they say? "Elder Gongsun, junior brother Guyu's injuries aren't light. Elder Gongsun, please take a look." The youths behind Elder Gongsun Dao, who had rushed to the center of the square not long ago, hurriedly returned. A well-built and extraordinary youth was carrying the half-unconscious Guyu in his arms. The originally perfect face of the handsome youth was now covered in blood and was swollen like a pig's head. His eyebrows were torn, his eyes were swollen, his nose was crooked, and his mouth was cracked. Even if Guyu's mother were to come, she wouldn't be able to recognize her son. Looking at Guyu's current appearance, Elder Gongsun Dao and the others from the Divine Light Court felt their hearts bleeding. What a ferocious youth! Guyu is too unlucky. At this moment, the gazes of the various factions were fixated on Gu Yu's miserable appearance. More than half of the teeth in his mouth had been knocked out, and he was in an extremely miserable state. Du Xiaofu, that scourge is too ferocious. Even the elders of the Tianwu Academy gasped in shock when they saw Gu Yu's miserable appearance. Gu Yu's current appearance was too horrible to look at. Who would have thought that this miserable youth was still that peerlessly beautiful youth? I need to treat my injuries. Everyone, I'll take my leave first. Gong Sun Dao endured the pain in his heart and said to the elders of the Tianwu Academy. He didn't want to stay together with the people of the Tianwu Academy anymore. Elder Gong Sun Dao, take care. Don't worry, I'll definitely punish that lad so that he won't hit the disciples of the Divine Light Court as he pleases. After Elder He, who said those words to Gong Sun Dao, he turned to the teachers behind him and said, "Men, send Elder Gong Sun Dao off." "There's no need to send me off." Gong Sun Dao was filled with hatred. He turned around and left, not wanting to talk to He Hu anymore. "Elder He Hu, should we chase after that lad? Otherwise, we won't be able to find him in the future." A blue-robed middle-aged man who looked like an elder lowered his voice and asked Elder He Hu, "Chase after him. Capture that lad first." Elder He Hu faintly nodded his head before adding, "But don't injure that brat, just capture him first. Also, don't let that brat ruin the bones and essence blood of the scarlet cloud serpent. Even if it's a trade, it's fine." The middle-aged elder nodded his head. He signaled to the elders behind him with his gaze before leaving quietly. This chapter is a few hundred words short. Little you will fill it up tomorrow. Let's go eat first. Chapter 268. In the mountain range behind Tianwu Academy, there was a mountain peak that was not very tall, but it was extremely steep and precipitous. The mountain was lush and verdant, with clear streams flowing through it. When several figures landed on the mountain peak, their expressions changed. There were many bloodstains and broken bones on the mountain peak, and it was not hard to tell that these bones came from the scarlet cloud dragon. Roar! When the last piece of dragon flesh was swallowed by the king-scaled demonic tiger, a burp sounded from its full belly. There was an indescribable satisfaction in the tiger's eyes, as if it had obtained great benefits from the scarlet cloud dragon's flesh. Then, under the gazes of the several figures, it flapped its wings and flew away. That brat knew we were looking for him and ran away again. A middle-aged man said helplessly, "That brat ran pretty fast. We were all fooled by him." What a good plan to lure the tiger away from the mountain. A middle-aged man in yellow robes laughed bitterly. The bones of the scarlet cloud dragon should have been dug out by that brat, but the blood of the scarlet cloud dragon was wasted. We can refine quite a bit of blood essence from it. A gray-robed old man said with a pained expression, regretting that he did not come earlier. That brat's king-scaled demonic tiger was already extraordinary. Now that it ate the scarlet cloud dragon, it will probably become even stronger. Another middle-aged man said. So, after a while, the several figures could only leave helplessly. The mountain peaks were like waves, layer upon layer. The surrounding mountains were dark and boundless, and the undulating mountain range was like a wave of water. In the middle of the mountain range, there was a huge mountain peak. Even in broad daylight, this mountain peak was like a huge tomb. The mountain peak was continuous and extremely huge. At the bottom of this mountain peak, it was as if an unworldly beast had been buried there. The aura it gave off was enough to make one's heart tremble. The surrounding forest and steep cliffs in the distance gave this mountain peak a frightening sense of tranquility. Around the mountain peak was a large square, paved with bluestone. Although this place was usually not very lively, it was still quite crowded. But for some reason, it was extremely quiet today. This is the Heaven Marshal Seal stage. A slightly thin but extremely tall figure appeared in the large square. He looked at the huge mountain in front of him and sensed an aura that made one's heart tremble. His figure also paused for a moment. The skinny figure appeared to be 16 or 17 years old. He had a resolute face, sharp eyebrows, and clear eyes. If one looked carefully, one could see a faint golden light in the depths of his eyes. A domineering and intimidating aura lay dormant in the depths of his clear eyes. The person who came was Du Xiaofu, who had left the Peace Square. He had planned to come here with a mysterious, sloppy old man. From the mustached elder, Du Xiaofu found out that in Tianwu Academy, as long as he entered a place called the Tianwu Talisman Zone, he would be safe. As long as he was in the Tianwu Talisman Zone, even the elders of Tianwu Academy wouldn't be able to do anything to him. The Tianwu Talisman Zone was an important place in Tianwu Academy. It was said that there were countless comprehensions in there, as well as numerous spirit and talisman weapons. It was said that there were even Dao weapons which surpassed talisman weapons in Tianwu Academy. In addition, the Tianwu Talisman Zone was a place to comprehend martial techniques, medicine refinement, weapon forging, and talisman formations. In short, the Tianwu Talisman Zone contained all the comprehensions of martial arts and talisman practitioners. But all of this required points. Without points, one wouldn't be able to enter the Tianwu Talisman Zone. After leaving the Peace Square, Du Xiaofu was worried that the elders of Tianwu Academy would make a move on him. Thus, he immediately rushed to the Tianwu Talisman Zone according to the address provided by the mustached elder. It was said that in the Tianwu Talisman Zone, not only could one escape from the pursuit of the academy, one could also comprehend and cultivate. Du Xiaofu also wanted to experience it. Of course, Du Xiaofu wouldn't let go of the blood and secret bones of the Scarlet Cloud Jiao. Du Xiaofu stored the blood of the Scarlet Cloud Jiao into a container in his Qinkuan pouch. For the time being, he didn't have the time to cultivate the second stage of the body tempering technique, bone cutting and marrow cleansing. The secret bones of the Scarlet Cloud Jiao were also dug out by Du Xiaofu. The secret bones of demonic beasts on the Heavenly Beasts list were definitely precious treasures. At this moment, Zhen Qingquan's voice sounded in Du Xiaofu's ears. I didn't expect that there would be such an extraordinary talisman formation here. It seems like Tianwu Academy isn't simple either. Talisman formation? Du Xiaofu looked around carefully and realized that there were faint distortions and wrinkles in the space around him. If one wasn't a talisman master, it would be hard to detect the distortions and wrinkles in the space. This isn't just a talisman formation. It's an ancient talisman formation. It should have been set up for a very long time, perhaps over 1,000 years or even longer. It was the first time he had been shocked by a talisman array in front of Du Xiaofu. He continued, "This talisman array is very old. It has been around for more than 1,000 years, maybe even longer. I'm afraid that the person who created this talisman array is no longer around. However, to be able to leave behind a talisman array and maintain it, this level of strength is very terrifying. I'm afraid that at least an 8-star talisman master would be able to do this. I really didn't expect that such a strong cultivator would appear in Sky Martial Academy. 8-star talisman master." Hearing this, Du Xiaofu bitterly smiled. A 5-star talisman master was equivalent to a martial marquis, and a 6-star talisman master was equivalent to a martial king. What kind of expert would an 8-star talisman master be? That level was probably terrifying to the extreme. Even thinking about it gave one an illusory feeling. Right now, he was only a 3-star talisman master. Brother Qingchen, when you were at your peak, did you reach the level of an 8-star talisman master? Du Xiaofu bitterly smiled and asked Jin Qingchen, "Child, why are you asking so many questions? I'm afraid that this place isn't simple at all. Go in and take a look. Who knows, it might be as the old man said. You might be able to improve your comprehension inside. Although you have reached the peak of perfect pulsation realm, if you don't improve your comprehension of pulse spirit and other aspects, it will be very difficult for you to break through." Zhen Qingchen said to Du Xiaofu, "Yes, It's time to properly comprehend. Du Xiaofu nodded. Although he had brutally beaten up Guyu from the Divine Light Court at the Peace Square today, Du Xiaofu was extremely clear that he was able to beat up Guyu because he had used his strong points and avoided his weak points. He had used his strong points to deal with Guyu's weak points. Although he had not yet cultivated the bone-cutting and marrow-cleansing technique, but this time in Elder Zhou's medicinal cauldron, with the earth core flame and the enormous amount of spiritual energy, as well as the evil demonic qi that he had absorbed from Liu Xiao, as well as the help of many other factors, he had fortunately stepped into the realm of true Peng in terms of body cultivation. The realm of true Peng was a level that even the golden-winged, great Peng bird clan would find it difficult to reach. Having reached the realm of true Peng, in addition to his recent breakthrough and refinement, his already terrifying physical body had now reached a terrifying level. With the strength of his physical body, in addition to his recently skyrocketing strength, he had gained the upper hand and suppressed Guyu before he was able to successfully beat him up. That young man from the Divine Light Court today is actually not weak. He even has the body of spiritual meridians. It seems that the Divine Light Court has developed well these years. Zhen Qingchen said softly. Although he had not been present today, he could feel that the young man from the Divine Light Court called Guyu did not underestimate Du Xiaofu in the slightest. In fact, he thought highly of Du Xiaofu and gave it his all. However, Guyu was arrogant. His body of spiritual meridians did not allow him to not be arrogant. He should be arrogant. Therefore, Guyu arrogantly wanted to crush Du Xiaofu and destroy everything about Du Xiaofu. He wanted to defeat Du Xiaofu as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. However, Guyu did not know that although the body of spiritual meridians was very powerful, it was definitely enough to be arrogant. However, compared to the golden-winged Great Peng, the body of spiritual meridians did not seem to be enough. Furthermore, he did not even have the chance to unleash the true power and extraordinariness of his body of spiritual meridians in the end. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows slightly when he heard this. He knew very well that if he had exchanged a few more blows with Guyu from the Divine Light Court today, it would have been difficult for him to gain the upper hand. It was still unknown whether he would be able to win in the end. A smile appeared on Du Xiaofu's face. That young man was indeed very strong. However, he was unable to withstand a single blow. Sometimes, when one had great strength and was able to withstand a few blows, he would not be weaker than those with martial talent. Du Xiaofu thought so. In the end, the path of cultivation was still about cultivating one's own body. If one was not strong enough, how strong could he be when the time came? Even if there was a great opportunity or a great fortune, he would not be able to bear it when the time came. Then Du Xiaofu asked Jin Qingchen, Brother Qingchen, "Do you know about the Divine Light Court?" "I've heard of it before. It's considered very powerful," Zhan Qingchen said. Du Xiaofu did not say anything. Based on his understanding of Zhen Qingchen, if Zhen Qingchen could be considered a powerful force, then it must be very powerful. After a while, Du Xiaofu walked to the front of the huge mountain. Upon closer inspection, he realized that there was an ancient stone gate in front of the huge mountain. It was spotless and exuded an ancient aura. No one knew how many years it had been standing here. The stone gate was wide open, but it was hazy inside. He could not see what was inside clearly. There was only an ancient aura slowly spreading out from the hazy space inside the stone gate. The ancient aura was vast and boundless, causing people to unconsciously feel a sense of reverence from the depths of their souls. I've received messages from a few readers. I just found out that the notice that was posted on a book review today had been swallowed by the system and had not been displayed. Damn! I reckon that I've caused many readers to wait for an update. I apologize. Little you will update a chapter today to apologize. I'll continue to write. Chapter 269. You're new, right? Just take your points card and enter the Seal Realm. Just as Du Xiaofu was sizing up the stone door, a middle-aged man had unknowingly appeared beside it. This man had originally been napping on a large rock beside the stone door. The large rock was like a stone bed, and it was unknown how many years he had slept on it. The surface of the rock was already as smooth as jade. Du Xiaofu looked at the middle-aged man. He looked to be in his 40s, with a head of shoulder-length black hair. His appearance could not be considered handsome, but his face was very clean. It was not that he was clean on the surface, but that when one looked at his face, one would feel that his heart was clean. "Sir, I'm new here and am not familiar with the Heaven Marshal Seal realm. Can you introduce it to me?" Du Xiaofu took out his points card. There were currently quite a lot of points in this card. The middle-aged man was currently napping on the rock. Being harassed by this brat already made him feel somewhat helpless. He had not expected that this brat would actually dare to harass him at this time. He sat up slightly and glared at Du Xiaofu, saying, "Everything about the Heaven Marshal Seal realm. Didn't your teacher teach you?" "No." Du Xiaofu shook his head helplessly. Hearing this, the middle-aged man's clean face became somewhat displeased. He glared at Du Xiaofu again and said, "The Seal realm is divided into the Comprehension realm, Battle realm, and the Spirit realm. Within the Comprehension realm, there are many individual spaces. Within each space, there will be something you want to comprehend, such as the secret bones of monsters, the evolution of seal formations, the process of refining pills, the method of refining weapons, the cultivation of martial techniques. However, the levels are different, and the points required are also different. After entering the corresponding Comprehension realm, the points on your points card will automatically be deducted once every 24 hours. If the points in your points card are not enough at that time, you will be automatically kicked out." Swallowing his saliva, the middle-aged man continued to speak to Du Xiaofu. The War realm and the Enlightenment realm are somewhat different. The Enlightenment realm is a place for comprehension, while the War realm is a place for challenges. It also requires points. Everything in the War realm is an illusion, but it is exactly the same as reality. The difference was that if you died in the battlefield, you would be pushed out of the battlefield. However, the real you wouldn't die, but if the real you were to die once, then you would die for real. The War realm had many levels, but no one knew exactly how many there were. If you can pass through the first level and reach the second level, it will prove that you have the strength of the Xiantian realm. In addition, if you can set or break some records in the battlefield, you will be rewarded with points. The higher the record, the more points you will be rewarded. After speaking in one breath, the middle-aged man took a deep breath. It seemed that he hadn't spoken so much in a long time, and his mouth was a bit dry. Du Xiaofu listened to the middle-aged man's words and kept nodding. He could roughly understand what the middle-aged man was saying. The battlefield was like an illusion. Everything inside looked real, but it was all just an illusion. The experience gained from the challenge within the battlefield was real. The benefits were self-evident, not to mention the rewards that could be obtained. As for the Enlightenment realm, it was even easier to understand. It was a place for comprehension. Whether it was the War realm or the Enlightenment realm, they both required points to enter. Without points, one would be pushed out. "Mister, what is the Spirit realm?" Du Xiaofu knew about the Enlightenment realm and War realm, but he didn't know about the Spirit realm, so he asked the middle-aged man, "Did your teacher teach you anything?" The middle-aged man looked at Du Xiaofu suspiciously and continued, "The Spirit realm is a place for exchange. With a point card, you can exchange for anything you want in the Spirit realm. Pills, spirit weapons, blood essence, bones, and so on can be exchanged. Or, if you have martial skills and spirit weapons that you don't need, pills, blood essence, bones, and so on can be placed in the Spirit realm. At that time, the Spirit realm will give you points, and the price will only be higher than outside. It's definitely more worth it than outside. So there's a place like this in the Heaven Marshal Talisman realm. When the time comes, I must go and take a look. I wonder if there's any blood essence for exchange." Du Xiaofu murmured. He was also very interested in the Spirit realm, It could be said that the spirit realm was an extremely fair trading center. After entering the door, the war realm is on the left, the enlightenment realm is on the right, and the spirit realm is right in front. If you want to enter the talisman realm, you can enter. Don't disturb my rest. After the middle-aged man finished speaking, his gaze lingered on Du Xiaofu for a while before he waved his hand to chase him away. Thank you, mister. Du Xiaofu expressed his gratitude. He was extremely grateful for the middle-aged man's explanation. Swoosh, swoosh! Right at this moment, the sound of wind breaking resounded from the plaza behind him. Several figures flew over at an extremely fast speed. In a few flashes, they had already neared him. Not good, they've caught up. Sensing the sound of wind breaking behind him, Du Xiaofu turned around. Instantly, his expression changed drastically. Du Xiaofu could recognize the figures that flew over. They were all elders of the Tianwu Academy. These elders were naturally here to find trouble with him. Without any hesitation, Du Xiaofu grasped his points card and directly charged into the hazy space behind the stone door. Qi. As Du Xiaofu stepped in, the hazy space behind the stone door rippled with light. There were ruined fluctuations and a spatial crack that resembled a wave of air spread out. At the center of the crack, a dazzling light appeared. An ancient and boundless aura was emitted, and it was astonishingly dense. Stepping through the hazy space, the light was so dazzling that it made one not dare to look directly at it. This gave Du Xiaofu a strange feeling. It was as if he was passing through space and time. It was extremely mysterious. After just 1 or 2 breaths worth of time, the dazzling light before him disappeared and Du Xiaofu opened his eyes. A new space had appeared before him. Du Xiaofu stood at the center. The space rippled and the light was dazzling. Raising his head to look at his surroundings, Du Xiaofu saw 3 spatial ripples on the left, right, and in front of him. They seemed to be 3 spatial doors. On the 3 spatial ripples, Battle Realm, Comprehension Realm, and Spirit Realm, there were rune words that flickered and were faintly discernible. An ancient and boundless aura spread out. The light was dazzling, and it was solemn and majestic. It was as if its dignity was inviolable. It made Du Xiaofu, who entered for the first time, feel oppressed and reverent. There are Academy elders chasing after me. Enter the Comprehension Realm first. Du Xiaofu was afraid of the Academy elders chasing after him. He did not have time to size them up and immediately entered the Comprehension Realm on the right. There seems to be a special aura on his body. Why can't I feel it? This kid seems to be somewhat similar to that kid from back then. After Du Xiaofu entered the stone door, the middle-aged man muttered softly. Immediately after, he lay down on the stone and dozed off. Everything else seemed to have nothing to do with him. Swoosh, swoosh! As Du Xiaofu's figure entered the Heaven Martial Talisman Realm, several figures quickly landed outside the stone door. In the end, they were a step too late and did not catch up to Du Xiaofu. We were a step too late. I didn't expect that kid to know to run into the Heaven Martial Talisman Realm. Now, no one can do anything to him. A blue-robed elder said bitterly. Once someone entered the Heaven Martial Talisman Realm, even they would not be able to affect it. In this place, even elders of the Tianwu Academy were powerless. It's still better than that kid escaping from the academy. Once he uses up all his points, he will naturally be pushed out. At that time, we will be able to catch him like a turtle in a jar. An elder said. A cunning smile flashed across his bright eyes. That kid has plundered quite a lot of points recently. I'm afraid that he has quite a lot of points now. I wonder when he will come out. The blue-robed elder was worried. He knew very well that many members of the law enforcement team had cried in front of him, saying that their Qinkuan bags and points cards had all been plundered by Du Xiaofu and all their belongings had been taken away. That kid was like a poor child who came out from the mountains. As the saying goes, unruly people come from barren hills and turbulent waters. That kid was one of them. That was why he came to the academy and snatched everything he saw. As long as it was valuable, he would not let it go. It was just like how, after beating up Guyu, the experts of the Divine Light Court watched with pain as the Scarlet Cloud Flood Dragon's corpse was taken away by that kid. Wait for that kid to come out. Even if he has quite a lot of points, he will come out sooner or later. He can't hide forever. The elder said. Within the Heaven Martial Talisman realm, Du Xiaofu stepped into the comprehension realm. It was as if he saw an invisible corridor in front of him. The surrounding space spat out multicolored light, like the blooming of a comet. The surroundings were dazzling, as if the sky was covered by divine light. Then, within the multicolored light, Du Xiaofu saw many spatial ripples flickering. There were runes flickering on them. With a glance, Du Xiaofu saw many demonic beast illusions on the spatial ripples. Most of them were demonic beast illusions on the earth beast ranking. Walking along the invisible corridor, there were many fist techniques, palm techniques, sword techniques, saber techniques, and other martial techniques flickering on the spatial ripples. There were even illusions of formation flags, spiritual cauldrons, and talisman cauldrons. What a strange and profound place! Du Xiaofu was astonished. Everything around him was extremely profound. Rays of light flickered, illusory and blurry. The aura was ancient and boundless. This place is really not bad. I didn't expect Tianwu Academy to have such a place. From Du Xiaofu's bosom, the small pagoda floated out and mysterious runes spread out. Chapter 270. Afterwards, Zhen Qingquan's illusory figure appeared in front of Du Xiaofu, still looking wretched. However, at this time, Zhen Qingquan's illusory figure seemed to have solidified a bit. This place is very strange. My innate talent seems to have been somewhat restricted. The little demon also came out from Du Xiaofu's bosom, its illusory eyes looking around with interest. Then it became somewhat surprised and finally said, "After I become stronger, I should be able to break free of these restrictions." The person at the door just now was not weak. Zhan Qingquan said, then looked at the ripples in the surrounding space and asked Du Xiaofu, "This place should be the place to comprehend martial techniques, secret bones, symbol arrays, and so on. What do you plan to comprehend first?" Du Xiaofu looked around. The places where the beastly figures appeared in the spatial ripples should be related to comprehending the secret bones of those demonic beasts. For those whose meridian spirits were related to this, entering this place to comprehend was naturally the best choice. The places where the runes of fist techniques, palm techniques, and so on flickered were naturally the places where one could comprehend and cultivate martial techniques. The places where the illusory figures of formation flags and spiritual stoves and symbol cauldrons were most likely only useful for talisman masters, alchemists, and symbol masters. Looking around, Du Xiaofu didn't know what to choose for a moment, and also didn't want to try everywhere. According to what the middle-aged man had said, once he entered, his points would be deducted. "Little demon, when will you let me comprehend my meridian spirit?" Du Xiaofu asked the little demon. What he lacked the most at present was still the comprehension of his meridian spirit. His meridian spirit was connected to the little demon. So if he could get the little demon's help, it would naturally be twice the result with half the effort. Of course, Du Xiaofu could also comprehend on his own. With his meridian spirit, he could deduce and comprehend on his own. But now that the little demon was by his side, if he could get the little demon's help, his comprehension of the meridian spirit would be twice the result with half the effort. Therefore, Du Xiaofu believed that there was no need for him to spend more time doing things that he could have done with less time. In fact, the results would be better if he spent less time. "Now you know how to beg me?" Little Yao was very pleased with himself. Glancing at Du Xiaofu, he said, "It should be soon. I've been eating a lot of spiritual herbs recently, and I've obtained quite a lot of benefits. I should be breaking through soon as well. When the time comes, I'll be able to give you some benefits." Hearing this, Zhen Qingquan said to Du Xiaofu, "Comprehend it first. It's the same for other things. On the path of cultivation, there are many changes, but the same principle remains. As long as you comprehend it, it will be helpful to you. Du Xiaofu nodded, looking at the flickering phantoms of beasts, array flags, spiritual stoves, and talisman cauldrons in the surroundings. He said softly, I wonder if there are any secret bones of the golden-winged great rock clan here. It would be good if I could comprehend the beast energy of the golden-winged great rock clan here. Zhan Qingchen glared at Du Xiaofu and said, You're really daring. If there really are secret bones of the golden-winged great rock clan here, I'm afraid that Tianwu Academy would have been razed to the ground by the golden-winged great rock clan. The secret bones of the golden-winged great rock clan would definitely not be left outside. There are many phantoms of demonic beasts on the heavenly beast rankings here, but not all of them have their own secret bones. It could be that they're only a part of the inheritance of those demonic beasts here, or the aura of beast might extracted from the blood essence of those demonic beasts. But to have so many of them here, this place is already extraordinary. It's enough to prove that Tianwu Academy has an extraordinary past. Is that so? Du Xiaofu's brows twitched. After pondering for a moment, he said, Since that's the case, I'll first comprehend the secret bones and inheritance of the various demonic beasts. Hearing that, Zhen Qingchuan's gaze immediately fell on Du Xiaofu with astonishment. Then his gaze fluctuated a few times before returning to normal. He looked at Du Xiaofu and said, Are you sure? Comprehending too much might not be a good thing. Every technique has its own specialization, and there are many things to comprehend. It's better to concentrate on a few of them. Moreover, you're currently cultivating both the martial Tao and the Tao of Talismans. Comprehending the Tao of Talismans now isn't a bad choice. Du Xiaofu's eyes flashed with a golden light as he said to Zhen Qingchen, As for the Tao of Talismans, with you around, there's no need for me to comprehend the Alchemy Talisman Master and Array Talisman Master. As for the Artifact Talisman Master, I still don't understand anything, so there's no need for me to comprehend it for the time being. Are you trying to flatter me? Zhen Qingchuan's eyes flashed with a smile. It seemed that this flattery was very effective. With a bit of pride in his eyes, he said, You're right. The so-called Heaven Talisman Master is extraordinary. However, when it comes to the attainments of Array Talisman Master and Alchemy Talisman Master, it's enough to have me to guide you. My physical strength is not bad. I'm not interested in the martial Tao of Talismans. Du Xiaofu continued to speak to Zhen Qingchen. As for the martial Tao of Talismans, ever since Du Xiaofu cultivated the cultivation method of the golden-winged giant rocks, he wasn't very interested in the martial Tao of Talismans. Ordinary martial Tao of Talismans were far inferior to the attacks of the golden-winged giant rocks cultivation method. Moreover, the mysterious move was integrated into the attacks. Ordinary martial Tao of Talismans couldn't be compared to it. Why would he still cultivate martial Tao of Talismans? Unless it was as extraordinary as the wave-like free steps, then it was more like it. Then I'm afraid that the beast energy of other demonic beasts that you comprehend is far inferior to the beast energy of the golden-winged giant rocks, Zhen Qingchen said. That doesn't matter. Even if it's not very useful to me, it's only by knowing yourself and your enemy that you can win 100 battles. If I can comprehend some of the beast energy of other demonic beasts, then I can easily deal with whoever uses their arterial souls to deal with me. Du Xiaofu grinned and said, Anyway, I can't go out now. I'll comprehend more beast energy. After all, we're all from the beast clan. Maybe it'll be helpful to the cultivation method of the golden-winged giant rocks. Know yourself and your enemy that you can win 100 battles. Your reason is very special. Zhen Qingchen helplessly glanced at Du Xiaofu, then nodded slightly and said, Your way of thinking is actually not wrong. At least I think it's reasonable. But whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. After all, I haven't dabbled too much in the martial way. Also, I'm planning to go into seclusion to recover for a period of time. When the time comes, I'll be able to recover more. Brother Qingchen, These should be useful to you, right? Hearing this, Du Xiaofu seemed to have thought of something. A chinquin bag appeared in his hands. Then he took out a few jade bottles and some pills. Spirit Gathering Liquid, 9 Transformations Spirit Enhancing Pill. Duan Spiritual Liquid. Zhen Qingquan's illusory hand swept across and collected the jade bottles and pills in Du Xiaofu's hands. He said, "Not bad. For my current situation, these should be of some use. I specially found them for you. Isn't that enough?" There was a smile on Du Xiaofu's face. These pills and spiritual liquids that were beneficial to one's yuan spirit and mental energy were all sorted out from the Qinquan bags of the Tianwu Academy students. They were beneficial to Zhen Qingquan's yuan spirit, and Du Xiaofu had not forgotten to take note of them. "Have I not helped you enough, little ingrate?" Zhen Qingquan glared at Du Xiaofu, but there was a hint of gratitude in his eyes. "Isn't it only right for the elder brother to take care of the younger brother?" Du Xiaofu rolled his eyes and said, "All right, I'm preparing to recover for a period of time. You should take your time to comprehend. Remember, do your best to stabilize your foundation before breaking through. There's no need to rush." Zhen Qingquan was helpless against Du Xiaofu and did not wish to waste any more words with Du Xiaofu. As soon as he finished speaking, he entered the small pagoda. "I'm going to cultivate too. I need to increase my strength. Otherwise, the next time I find a treasure, it will be snatched away by a shameless fellow like you," the small demon said. "Am I that kind of person?" "I've always been a person who keeps his promises," Du Xiaofu said righteously, after which he kept the small demon and the small pagoda that Zhen Qingquan was hiding in back into his embrace. "I'll take this mad demon skywolf." Du Xiaofu's gaze landed on a spatial ripple in the distance, where the silhouette of a mad demon skywolf flickered. Holding the points card in his hand, he took a step forward and entered the spatial ripple under the dazzling light. "Ayo!" When Du Xiaofu's figure entered the space ripple, the mad demon skywolf's phantom in the space ripple seemed to come alive. It suddenly roared and its might soared. It seemed as if it wanted to swallow Du Xiaofu whole. The mad demon skywolf's bloodline was not weak. Du Xiaofu remembered that Bing Qianli of the enforcement team had a mad demon skywolf as his bloodline spirit. Walala! When his figure entered the spatial ripple, the light was so dazzling that Du Xiaofu did not realize that his points card had a total of 163,200 points. But in the blink of an eye, 800 points disappeared from his points card. The points were deducted every 24 hours. In other words, it would take 800 points to comprehend the mad demon skywolf for 24 hours. In Tianwu Academy, 10 points could buy a set of beginner-grade martial technique or a set of beginner-grade medicinal pills. If this was the Stone City, a martial skill, an elixir that had just reached the mobile grade would be enough to bankrupt many small and medium-sized clans and factions. But in Tianwu Academy, it would take 800 points to comprehend the mad demon skywolf for a day. That was equivalent to 800 sets of beginner-grade martial techniques or 800 medicinal pills. This was only the price for one day of comprehension. If one were to comprehend the mad demon skywolf for 10 days, it would cost 8,000 points. Fortunately, Du Xiaofu did not see it. If he did, he would be heartbroken. This was simply robbery. Chapter 271. Ayo! The howl of the wolf shook the heavens. When Du Xiaofu appeared in another space, there was a mountain range in that space. The mountain peaks stood tall and straight. The shadow of a demon wolf suddenly appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. It was a demonic wolf that was as strong as a lion. Its body was covered in thick scales, and its mouth was filled with sharp fangs. It looked extremely ferocious. At this moment, the demonic wolf shadow's body was as huge as a mountain. Its whole body was covered in runes, and it was emitting a terrifying fluctuation. What a terrifying mad demon sky wolf! Du Xiaofu was shocked. This was the real mad demon sky wolf. Compared to Bing Qian Li's pulse spirit, its aura was many times stronger. It was rumored that the mad demon sky wolf was the king among the demonic beasts of the wolf race. It was said that it could even command the entire wolf race. Aoo! The mad demon sky wolf howled. Its whole body was covered in runes. Its terrifying aura shook the forest and the ground. It was as if a huge earthquake had started. It was enough to make all the demonic beasts crawl in fear. It was definitely the king among the demonic beasts. In Du Xiaofu's vision, the gigantic, berserk demon skywolf made its move. That mountain-sized body of the skywolf dashed through the mountain range, smashing through mountain peaks. With a swipe of its claws, the gigantic boulders crumbled, and the mountain peaks were all sliced apart. Aoo! The mad demon skywolf was constantly changing. Its power was terrifying, and it was incomparably ferocious. Large mountain peaks were directly torn apart, and the ground was shattered. So strong! Du Xiaofu was shocked. He did not expect the mad demon skywolf to be so powerful. Du Xiaofu originally underestimated the mad demon skywolf because of Bing Qian Li. He thought that the mad demon skywolf was only SOO. At this moment, Du Xiaofu knew that it was not the case. It was just that Bing Qian Li's pulse spirit was not enough. The real mad demon skywolf, after growing up, would definitely be terrifying. In the space, the mad demon sky wolf howled and changed. Then, its huge body turned into mysterious runes that filled the sky. Light spread out, accompanied by a shocking energy. It was dazzling, and the mysterious runes were strangely and mysteriously revolving in front of Du Xiaofu. Comprehension! Huh! Du Xiaofu was slightly surprised. This was the mad demon sky wolf's talisman engravings. If he could comprehend it, it would be helpful to the Golden Rocks cultivation method. Who knows, he might be able to have more tricks up his sleeve in the future. After being slightly surprised, Du Xiaofu sat down cross-legged as he looked at the dazzling rune energy. He immediately began to comprehend the mysterious runes that filled the sky. Du Xiaofu had just witnessed how terrifyingly powerful the mad demon Sirius was. Therefore, his comprehension of the mad demon Sirius's beast ability was extremely tempting. Calming himself down, Du Xiaofu knew that he needed to concentrate fully in order to comprehend the mad demon sky wolf's beast energy. As long as he could comprehend the mad demon sky wolf's mysterious patterns, he would definitely gain something. The transformation of the mad demon sky wolf's figure, the power that could move mountains and overturn seas and tear apart the heavens and earth, was the evolution of the mad demon sky wolf's mysterious patterns. Once he comprehended these mysterious patterns, he would be able to understand their essence. Not long after, Du Xiaofu was already immersed in comprehension, entering a state of comprehension. Du Xiaofu had always been fast. Therefore, he began to fully immerse himself in comprehending the mad demon sky wolf's beast energy and mysteries, almost forgetting himself. While immersed in comprehension, Du Xiaofu was like a fish out of water, suddenly diving into the sea. Time slowly passed as well. Tianwu Academy. On the afternoon that Du Xiaofu beat up Guyu, who possessed the spiritual vein, the experts of the Divine Light Court hurriedly left with ugly expressions. Princess Cheng Shengnan could only leave with them. The other guests also took their leave one after another. However, Tianwu Academy had been in an uproar for the past few days. The extraordinary Guyu of the Divine Light Court, who possessed the spiritual vein constitution, was a 16 to 17-year-old pulsation realm consummation expert. His name shook the entire region, and he was definitely a top-notch existence among his peers. Such an existence, together with a terrifying flood dragon on the heavenly beast list that was comparable to a martial marquis, ended up being beaten up by the ferocious young man from Tianwu Academy. The terrifying flood dragon on the heavenly beast list was even killed by the ferocious young man with a single slap. With such a battle result, how could the students of Tianwu Academy not go wild with joy and feel their blood boiling. This was especially so in front of those from the Divine Light Court. Tianwu Academy felt as though they had vented their anger. That Du Xiaofu is too ferocious. However, seeing how ferocious he was towards Guyu, he is indeed quite likable. Seeing that arrogant Guyu being beaten up by Du Xiaofu until his face was swollen like a pig's head, I felt relieved. Did you guys see Guyu's face? I reckon that even his mother wouldn't be able to recognize him when he returns. I heard that that ferocious fellow escaped again. The elders weren't able to capture him either. I think that Du Xiaofu has contributed greatly to the academy this time around. The elders should reconsider and stop putting Du Xiaofu on the wanted list. Regardless of whether it was the freshmen, seniors, or even the write-in students, everyone was talking about Du Xiaofu. There were even some students who went up to the elders to request for them to remove Du Xiaofu from the wanted list. In any case, everyone was paying attention to Du Xiaofu. However, Du Xiaofu's name was still on the wanted list. All right. In a bamboo forest, a skinny and tanned old man was gently lying on a bamboo rattan chair. He smiled faintly, appearing to be extremely happy. Grandfather, what are you so happy about? That lad isn't a descendant of our Xie clan. A lady spoke. Her hair was casually tied into a loose bun with a light purple flower inserted into it. She wasn't wearing any makeup and her lips weren't dyed red. I'm happy that I didn't misjudge him. Besides, if you're willing, why don't you let that lad become a member of our Xie clan? The old man smiled. His eyes were quite bright on his skinny and tanned face. There was no turbidity at all. He's still a young boy. The lady smiled sweetly. Her beautiful eyes were filled with intelligence. So what? Your grandmother was a lot older than me back then. Your mother was also a few years older than your father. Isn't she still fine? Women should be a few years older. Only then can they control those little boys. The old man continued to smile. The lady didn't say anything else. A gentle breeze blew through the bamboo forest, causing a few strands of hair to fall to her waist. It was a charming sight that could move one's soul. Brat, I didn't expect you to be in Tianwu Academy. In the imperial palace of the Stone Dragon Empire, a tall lady dressed in orange clothes spoke softly. Her eyebrows were slightly knitted together. She had a tall figure, and her curves were hazy. She looked to be in her early 20s, but she had already grown into a slender and elegant woman. At this moment, she seemed to have thought of something, and her slender hand subconsciously rested on her perky buttocks. Her enchanting face was filled with anger. That brat, he must have seen all of her embarrassing parts back then. Even if he was treating my injuries, he still saw everything. The tall and beautiful woman was none other than Cheng Shengnan. Thinking about how her secret place that had never been touched by the xenomorphs had already been touched by that brat, she felt an indescribable feeling in her heart. She didn't know if that brat had any other tricks up his sleeve. Brat, you've ruined our sex plan this time and seriously injured junior brother Guyu. I'm afraid I'll be punished when I return to the Divine Court. I'll definitely settle the score with you the next time I see you. Cheng Shengnan raised her eyebrows slightly and pouted her delicate red lips. Dense mist rose from the mountain range, making it seem like an otherworldly paradise. Mist lingered around the mountain peaks, and extraordinary spiritual herbs were everywhere. The energy of heaven and earth was astonishing. At the peak of the mountain, in front of an exquisite courtyard, a young lady was sitting cross-legged. Her body was enveloped in a dazzling white light. Chi-chi. After a long time, the young lady opened her eyes and slowly stood up. She looked to be around 14 or 15 years old, but her figure was already curvy. Coupled with her delicate face, it wouldn't be long before she would grow into a slender and elegant woman who would stun the world. The girl looked into the distance, her eyes clear and pure, so pure that it made people feel as if they didn't belong to this world. She curled her lips and murmured, "Brother Xiaofu, I will cultivate well. I will work hard to become an expert. You have to wait for me. One day, I will appear in front of you. When that day comes, I will no longer need your protection. Whoever dares to bully you, I will beat them up for you. In the future, only I can bully you in this world. In this world, only I can bully you." As she spoke, the young lady smiled. She counted with her fingers and said, "Even Auntie can bully you. All right, Sister Shuang can also bully you. That's it. Chi-chi." A crisp sound was heard. A small green bird flew out from the clouds in the sky and landed on the young lady's shoulder. This little green bird was only the size of a child's palm. Its green feathers glowed with a little light, and its small black eyes shone with a bright light. It blinked and chirped, as if it was saying something to Dai Xingyu. "Little Qingqing, you can't bully Brother Xiaofu either," the young lady said to the small green bird. A smile was revealed on her young face, which was filled with youthfulness. "Chi-chi," the small green bird flapped its wings and rolled its black eyes in protest. The young lady smiled and said, "Little Qingqing, there's nothing you can do if you don't agree. In any case, you can't bully Brother Xiaofu." Time flew. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Du Xiaofu, who was within the heavenly martial seal, did not know how much time had passed. He was only immersed in the comprehension of the crazy demon Skywolf. I understand. It can actually be like this." Within the space, for some unknown reason, Du Xiaofu opened his eyes. A smile was revealed on his face. Soon after, the seals in his hands began to change. As the seals in his hands changed, a lightning-like radiance flickered in his clear eyes. Today's update at noon was not in time. Therefore, Little Yu added an update to apologize to everyone. Today's update has been completed. Brothers who have not slept, please rest early. Chapter 272. Walala. Translator, Sparrow Editor. Sparrow Du Xiaofu's body was surrounded by a special type of talisman inscriptions. These talisman inscriptions were different from the talisman inscriptions formed by the golden-winged great rock, and their form was also different. To Du Xiaofu, ever since he started cultivating the cultivation technique of the golden-winged great rock race, the talisman inscriptions related to the golden-winged great rock had become an innate part of him, fusing with his body, limbs, bones, meridians, and blood vessels. However, at this moment, the talisman inscriptions formed by the changes in Du Xiaofu's hand seals were faintly related to martial techniques, as well as the martial veins in his body. They exuded a domineering aura and feeling when he executed a mysterious move. Aolo! When the talisman inscriptions were formed, the talisman inscriptions before Du Xiaofu evolved and formed the phantom of a mad demon Skywolf. It was as if it was alive, and its howl shook the heavens. When the phantom of the mad demon Skywolf was formed, a slight smile appeared on Du Xiaofu's face. However, his gaze was still contemplative as he muttered, "It seems like it's still lacking a bit. It has the form, but not the spirit. Continue to comprehend it. Walala." The phantom of the mad demon Skywolf once again transformed into a sky full of talisman inscriptions before revolving around Du Xiaofu's body, continuously evolving and evolving. Unknowingly, it was already early winter. Early in the morning, it was as if something was stirring up a cluster of night clouds in the eastern sky. Along with the color, a faint silver halo of light surrounded the entire horizon. Mist lingered in the sky, and the sky was bright. The morning air was chilly, but the 4 seasons didn't affect cultivators at all. In the ancient Great Hall, several elders of Tianwu Academy were seated. In the upper seats were Elder Sun Biue, Elder He Hu, Elder Shangguan, Elder Morongxi, and the others. "Everyone, are you all ready to deal with that brat Du Xiaofu's matter?" Sun Biue looked at all the elders in the hall and asked, "All the students in the academy are paying attention to this. We need to deal with this as well. Du Xiaofu has contributed greatly to Tianwu Academy this time around. However, killing and injuring a student, arresting the enforcers, destroying the herb farm, and stealing the green bamboo spirit fruit is a huge crime, Elder Liao said. There wasn't much of a change in his expression, and it was hard to tell what he was thinking. There are merits and demerits. Putting aside his merits and demerits, that lad's talent is frightening. Even Guyu, who possesses the spirit vein physique, isn't a match for him. If that lad were to leave our Tianwu Academy, the other powers would probably thank us immediately, a blue-robed, middle-aged elder said. That kid's talent is amazing, but we can't ignore his merits and demerits. He has made a contribution, a great contribution. However, that brat is also a great calamity to the Academy. If we don't punish him, I'm afraid it won't make sense. Could it be that as long as one's talent is strong, one can do as one pleases in the Academy? An elder said. He didn't have any intention of targeting Du Xiaofu. Instead, he spoke the truth. What everyone says makes sense, Elder Liao said. However, it's still too early to talk about punishing that calamity. At the very least, we have to capture that brat first. That brat has already entered the Tianwu Seal realm, and we don't know when he will come out. It's impossible for us to capture that brat in there, a middle-aged woman said. Hearing those words, everyone's gaze froze. Indeed, it was too early to talk about punishing that brat before they even captured him. That brat seems to have a close relationship with Ouyang Shuang and Du Xiaoman. Why don't we do this? Let's hand it over to Elder Morong and Elder Shangguan. No matter what, we have to capture that brat first. Elder Sun's eyes moved slightly before landing on Morong Shi and Elder Shangguan. I think it's a good idea. It'll be more convenient for the two of you to capture that brat. Elder He Hu also nodded. No one had any objections. All the elders already knew that Du Xiaofu had a close relationship with Ouyang Shuang, and that he was Du Xiaoman's younger brother. Elder Morong, she was Ouyang Shuang's uncle. Elder Shangguan was Du Xiaoman's teacher, and Du Xiaoman was Elder Shangguan's personal disciple. With this layer of relationship, everything would naturally be much easier to handle. Morong, she slightly clenched the folding fan in his hand. Immediately his eyes widened as he said, "Can I not interfere in the matter of that little calamity?" "No, it's settled then," Elder Sun said to Morong Shi. In terms of elder status, she was a bit higher than Morong Shi. "Let us be in charge, but first you have to agree to one condition," Elder Shangguan said to all the elders. In the blink of an eye, another 10 days passed. Du Xiaofu was still comprehending the beast energy of the Skywolf. The seals in his hands were changing, and the runes were dazzling. "Awo!" the wolf howled. The mysterious runes arranged themselves and condensed into the phantom of the Skywolf. In the midst of the howl, a terrifying power spread out. Although the mad demon Skywolf phantom that Du Xiaofu had comprehended was not as powerful as the mad demon Skywolf that he had seen before, it was still much stronger than the one he had seen 10 days ago. "It's about time," Du Xiaofu murmured with a smile on his face. In the process of comprehending the beast energy of the Skywolf, Du Xiaofu inadvertently integrated it into the mysterious move. He did not expect that it would achieve an unexpected effect. Just like when he practiced Hadouken and Stormy Wave's palm in the Stone City, the mysterious move could perfect Hadouken and Stormy Wave's palm. At this moment, it was also very useful for the Skywolf's beast energy. It could even connect with the martial veins. It was as if it could stimulate the martial veins. There were many other mysterious and wonderful uses, which gave Du Xiaofu a lot of unexpected benefits. Continue to comprehend other beast energy, Du Xiaofu murmured, then got up and left the space. He continued to comprehend other beast energy in the Tianwu Talisman realm. Time passed slowly. In Du Xiaofu's comprehension, time seemed to have been forgotten by Du Xiaofu. In the following time, in addition to comprehending the beast energy of the Skywolf, Du Xiaofu also comprehended other beast energy. In Du Xiaofu's imagination, comprehending by analogy in the path of cultivation would always be beneficial in the end. The effects were just as Du Xiaofu had expected. He was able to comprehend and come into contact with different beast abilities, comprehend by analogy and return to his roots. All of these could complement each other. However, it wasn't an easy task to comprehend any beast energy to such an extent. Du Xiaofu was immersed in a frenzy of comprehension as various runes evolved, arranged, and comprehended. It was only at this moment that Du Xiaofu realized that the Tianwu Academy did indeed have an extraordinary foundation. Just the Tianwu talisman alone was a vast amount of treasures. In the frenzied comprehension, Du Xiaofu felt that his comprehension of the golden-winged great rock was quite useful. Unknowingly, many of the golden-winged great rock's comprehension problems were easily solved under Du Xiaofu's frenzied comprehension. However, Du Xiaofu was still not satisfied. In the end, he chose the beast energy closest to the golden-winged great rock's bloodline to comprehend. Among the beast energy Du Xiaofu comprehended, there were condor beasts, eagle beasts, and the beast closest to him was a scarlet swan. It was a demonic beast on the heavenly beast ranking. Its terrifying aura was even more shocking than the frenzied demon skywolf. Du Xiaofu felt that he had improved by quite a bit after comprehending various beasts. However, it was a little mixed. Just like what his elder brother Jin Qingchan was worried about, being mixed without mastering it was a taboo for cultivators. Du Xiaofu would not walk down this taboo path. This was also not the intention of Du Xiaofu. Therefore, Du Xiaofu decided to leave the state of comprehension. He had comprehended a lot, but the key was to integrate them. Du Xiaofu could feel the terror of all kinds of beast energy through his comprehension. If he could master all of them, he would be able to truly use them for himself. When he was in trouble, these comprehensions would become extremely powerful and terrifying. Du Xiaofu left the state of comprehension and arrived at the first level of the heavenly martial talisman, just outside the state of comprehension. At this moment, Du Xiaofu had already been in the state of comprehension for 3 whole months. He had wholeheartedly immersed himself in comprehending various beast energy for 3 months. At this time, Du Xiaofu's scorecard, which originally had 160,000 points, only had slightly more than 1,000 points left. In 3 months, he had spent 160,000 points, which was equivalent to 160,000 dynamic grade pills. Such a price was astonishing. Look, that's Du Xiaofu. It really is Du Xiaofu. It's that valiant young man. So this guy has been hiding in the heavenly martial talisman all this time. Chapter 273. No wonder there hasn't been any news of him for 3 months. As Du Xiaofu reached the first level of the Heaven Martial Seal realm, the Comprehension realm, the Battle realm, and the Spirit realm, several young men and women immediately recognized Du Xiaofu. Junior brother Du, did you just come out? A woman wearing a long dress with a slit walked towards Du Xiaofu. The slit of her dress extended all the way to above her thighs, revealing her long, slender, and fair legs. She wore a tight-fitting shirt that revealed her shoulders, unable to hide her soft, boneless waist. In front of her chest, there was a deep, white cleavage. What a seductive woman! You are. Du Xiaofu frowned. He did not recognize this person. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu's gaze could not help but sweep over those slender, fair legs. Inadvertently, his gaze once again landed on the deep, white cleavage in front of the woman's chest. Little lecher, where are you looking at? Want to touch it? The seductive woman straightened her body and directly stepped in front of Du Xiaofu, causing her originally curvaceous body to become even more perfect and alluring at this moment. She completely ignored Du Xiaofu's gaze and even carried a hint of teasing, causing the surrounding young men to have hot nosebleeds. Du Xiaofu was stunned and instantly jumped in fright, directly taking a step back in fright. Pu Piu! Seeing Du Xiaofu's appearance, the woman could not help but laugh. Her smile was extremely cute and charming. She said to Du Xiaofu, "All right, junior brother Du, I won't tease you anymore. I'm Li Shui, Ouyang Shuang's classmate and also her friend. I've heard her mention you before. So it's senior sister. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu immediately asked Li Shui, May I ask how she is now? How can she be? Hasn't she also entered the Heaven Martial Seal realm and been in seclusion for a long time? Looks like you haven't seen her inside. Li Shui looked at Du Xiaofu and pursed her lips into a smile, drawing out an extremely enchanting arc. She smiled and said, You're so worried about her. Looks like your relationship with that girl is quite deep. Could it be that there's a special relationship between the two of you? She's my elder sister, Du Xiaofu said helplessly. Really? But you too, Senior Du Xiaoman is Li Shui Yi's elder sister. Li Shui looked at Du Xiaofu and once again took a step forward. Her graceful body was practically sticking close to Du Xiaofu's body. Her slender, white, tall, and beautiful legs revealed the slit of her long skirt. Her fair and tender long legs were even more tightly stuck to Du Xiaofu's thigh. Her pink, tender, and red lips slightly pouted, as if she wanted to entice others to kiss her. She said, How about this? What do you think of senior sister? Do you want to marry senior sister and bring her back to be your wife? A delicate fragrance assailed his nostrils. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu was instantly startled. He hurriedly dodged and said, Senior sister, I'm still young. I'm not mature enough. As his voice faded, Du Xiaofu directly fled as if he was fleeing for his life. After that, he hurriedly charged into the battle realm. Li Shui laughed again, looking at Du Xiaofu who had charged into the battle realm. Her lips curled into a smile as she said, I didn't expect such a ferocious little guy to be so shy. Stop teasing Ouyang's little brother. Be careful that when Ouyang comes out and finds out that you dared to tease her little brother, she'll definitely settle the score with you. Didn't you see that the others beside you were all having nosebleeds when they saw you? A delicate and pretty girl walked to Li Shui's side. Her gentle and quiet temperament was a stark contrast to Li Shui's. Those guys aren't worthy of my teasing. Li Shui swept her gaze across the few youths who were peeking their heads out from afar. Then she chuckled and said, It's more interesting to tease that ferocious little guy. I bet countless female students in the academy will be envious of me. He's entered the battle realm. I wonder if he'll set a record. The delicate and pretty girl said as she looked at the spatial ripples at the entrance of the battle realm. Hearing this, Li Shui's face turned serious as she said, It's not easy to set a record in the battle realm. Breaking a record is even more difficult. That's true. It's said that in the past few hundred years, only a handful of people have been able to set a record. Right now, the two fellows at the top of the martial ranking have only set a few special records. They haven't broken any of the records left behind by their predecessors. The delicate and pretty girl said. Li Shui said, Back then the academy was filled with experts and extremely talented individuals. It's said that a long time ago, when the academy was at its most prosperous, its reputation spread far and wide. There were countless experts, and every single one of them was extremely famous. The records left behind by those people in the battle realm are too difficult for the later generations to break. I remember now, 20 years ago, there was a rumor that a record was broken in the battle realm. A person who had just entered the pulse spirit realm managed to step into the 5th level of the battle realm. Right now, his name is still on the 5th level of the battle realm. The delicate and pretty girl seemed to have recalled something. Li Shui raised her eyebrows slightly and said, You're talking about Du Tingxian, who is ranked 2nd on the bounty list, right? His name seems to be ranked 10th on the 5th level of the battle realm. Since the establishment of Qianwu Academy until now, he's the only one who managed to enter the top 10 in terms of talent and potential. It's said that he's the only person who managed to leave his name on the 5th level of the battle realm in the past 1,000 years. But I don't know why he ended up on the Academy's bounty list. The delicate and pretty girl sighed. Then her eyes flickered as she looked at Li Shui and said, Why don't we go to the battle realm to take a look and see if Du Xiaofu can leave a record in the battle realm? Is that so? Li Shui's eyebrows twitched slightly. Then she smiled and said, "Good idea. Seeing him break a record with our own eyes should be a good thing. TSK, TSK." Then the two girls laughed and followed Du Xiaofu into the battle realm. Inside the battle realm, there was not a single space. Instead, every floor was a total space. As long as the students entered the battle realm and were on the same floor, they would all be inside. The dangers they would encounter might be the same. It was extremely mysterious. Du Xiaofu entered the battle realm. There were many differences between the battle realm and the comprehension realm. Within the continuous space, there were slight ripples in the air. Everywhere was desolate and looked exactly like reality. It didn't have the dazzling and illusory appearance of the comprehension realm. Ao, the roars of demonic beasts could be heard. They were all Xiantian realm demonic beasts. Destroy! Du Xiaofu destroyed the demonic beasts with a wave of his hand. They turned into dazzling runes that filled the sky. Everything seemed so real. The first level is too weak. It seems like I have to go to the higher levels of the battle realm. Du Xiaofu muttered. The battle realm was a place that specialized in challenges. Passing the first to second level in the battle realm meant that one had the strength of a Xiantian realm expert. Passing the third level meant that one had the strength of a pulsating realm expert. And so on and so forth. Du Xiaofu guessed that he did not know if he could pass through the third level to the fourth level. With his strength, it should not be a problem for him to reach the fourth level. However, the battlefield was illusory after all, and his cultivation level was still at the pulsating realm. After entering the war realm, Du Xiaofu also wanted to challenge a record. He remembered that the middle-aged man at the entrance had said that if he could create or break a record in the war realm, he would be rewarded with points within the war realm. The higher the record, the more points he would be rewarded. To Du Xiaofu, this was extremely tempting. Not long after Du Xiaofu entered the battle realm, the news spread and caused an uproar in the entire Tianwu Academy. This should be Du Xiaofu's first time in the battle realm. I wonder if that ferocious youth will leave behind a record. It has been a long time since someone set a record in the battle realm. It has been a long time since someone broke a record. I heard that there are already people waiting at the fourth level of the battle realm. They want to see if he can leave behind a record. As the news spread, a large number of students rushed into the battle realm in the heavenly martial talisman region. They wanted to see if that ferocious youth would leave a record in the battle realm with their own eyes. They wanted to see with their own eyes the moment he left behind a record. That was a scene that only happened once every few decades. It was said that in the past 1,000 years, the only person who could break a record in the battle realm was Du Tingxian, who is currently ranked second on the wanted list. So, a large number of students rushed into the heavenly martial talisman region and lined up to enter the battle realm. What day is it today? Why are there so many little bastards in the battle realm? The middle-aged man who was sleeping on the large rock at the entrance of the heavenly martial talisman region grinned and continued to sleep, completely ignoring the others. That brat has entered the battle realm? Should we go and take a look? In one of the courtyards, elder he who said to the other elders around him. His eyes were filled with interest. Chapter 274. Let's not go. Since that kid is in the battle domain, let's just let him challenge it and see if he can create some sort of record. Elder Shangguan said to the crowd, If we go, I can guarantee that we will be scared away immediately. Let that kid challenge the battle domain. He won't be able to stay in the battle domain for long. Mu Rongxi raised his eyes and said, Within the mountain stream, a giant python soared into the sky, spitting out blazing flames as if it wanted to burn everything. Destroy! Du Xiaofu's figure shot out, waving his hand and slapping out. A faint golden light flickered, instantly dispersing the flames. His 5 fingers clenched into a fist, and a fist suddenly shot out, landing on the giant python's hideous head with a loud bang, scattering it into runes that filled the sky and dissipated. When the runes that filled the sky dissipated, Du Xiaofu's figure also disappeared in the air. The third level really can't hold Du Xiaofu at all. He's gone to the fourth level. With his strength, he should have gone to the fourth level. The first 3 levels were just testing the waters. Pity that we can't enter the fourth level with our strength, sigh. In the surrounding mountains, rumbling sounds echoed throughout the mountains, as many figures were caught in various kinds of bitter battles. The mountains were clustered together, with waves and peaks, layer upon layer. The cliffs that seemed to have been carved by knives and axes stood tall, stretching endlessly. When Du Xiaofu's figure appeared on a mountaintop, his gaze swept around, his brows slightly raised. There seemed to be quite a few figures flashing around. He's here. Du Xiaofu has reached the fourth level. Look, it's Du Xiaofu. He really has reached the fourth level. Following Du Xiaofu's appearance, many voices of discussion rang out from the surroundings, as gaze after gaze immediately fell on Du Xiaofu. On top of a mountain, there were hundreds of people watching. Many of them were not senior students, and many of them were familiar faces to Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu looked over. There seemed to be quite a number of law enforcers who had fought with him before. Why are there still so many people? Du Xiaofu was puzzled. He had already seen quite a number of people on the third level. There were at least 1,000 of them. However, there weren't many people on the fourth floor. After all, not everyone had the strength to reach the fourth floor. Walala! At this moment, Du Xiaofu was surprised to find that the points card in his hand, which originally only had a few dozen points, suddenly changed. His points suddenly soared to 120,000 points. Did my luck explode? How did my points increase, and by so much? Du Xiaofu was surprised. 120,000 points was not a small number. He only had a little more than 160,000 points. Junior brother, we meet again. I've been waiting for you for almost a day. A clear voice sounded. A hot girl walked in front of Du Xiaofu. Beside her was a delicate and quiet girl. Senior sister. Du Xiaofu's eyes trembled. He didn't expect to see Li Shui in the fourth floor of the battle domain. It seemed that this woman's strength was extraordinary. Otherwise, she wouldn't have appeared in the fourth floor of the battle domain. Junior brother Du, are you wondering why your points increased? The quiet woman beside Li Shui looked at the strange expression on Du Xiaofu's face. It was clear that she was observant. She said, "You should still be in the Pulse realm, right?" "Yes, I'm still in the Pulse realm." Du Xiaofu nodded. He looked at the quiet girl in front of him. It was a stark contrast to Li Shui. "You're really in the Pulse realm. Abnormal." Hearing this, Li Shui's expression changed. She looked at Du Xiaofu in shock. Her bright eyes trembled. She couldn't believe it, but the truth was right in front of her. She had no choice but to believe it. The quiet girl said, "Junior brother, you're able to enter the Pulse Spirit Realm with your Pulse Realm cultivation base. That's why you're able to receive rewards from the Combat Realm. If Junior brother can enter the 5th level of the Combat Realm with your Pulse Realm cultivation base, I believe the rewards will be even more amazing." Senior sister, are you saying that if I break through the Pulse Realm and enter the 5th floor, the rewards will be much less? Du Xiaofu looked at the quiet girl and asked. His eyes were filled with anticipation. Yes, the quiet girl nodded. Looking at Du Xiaofu's expectant eyes, she thought to herself, "Is this guy really going to enter the 5th floor today?" Du Xiaofu looked up and said softly, "Looks like I'll have to try the 5th floor. I wonder how many points I'll get." "Junior brother, you can start on the 4th floor. So many people have come here to see if you can leave a record here." Li Shui looked at Du Xiaofu and said. The surprise in her eyes had not calmed down. She thought about how this savage young man was able to kill the profound cloud Scarlet Jiao, who was comparable to a martial marquis, and beat up Guyu, who had a spirit pulse body. How shocking was that? They're all here to see me? Du Xiaofu looked around and was confused. He thought these people were here to train, but he didn't expect them to be here to see him. Of course they're here to see you. You're famous in the academy. Li Shui said to Du Xiaofu, how about it? Have you thought about it? Do you want to marry me? I like it when you're immature. Du Xiaofu was surprised. He quickly changed the topic. This Li Shui was a demon. It was better to stay away from her. He looked at the quiet girl and asked, Is it hard to leave a record here? Of course it's hard. The gentle and quiet girl earnestly explained to Du Xiaofu. There are two types of records left behind. The first is to create a new record. This is a bit simpler. As long as you do something that no one has ever done before, but is extremely powerful, then you can create a new record. For example, the second place on the martial ranking, Spirited Jade Maiden Gu Xinyan, once left a record. She rushed from the first floor to the fourth floor with the fastest speed. The current first place on the martial ranking, General Bu Jianshan, he once fought for 11 days and 1 night in the fourth floor and left a record. First place on the martial ranking, this General Bu Jianshan, he is quite fierce. Du Xiaofu murmured. Although creating a record is difficult, it's even harder than breaking a record. It's definitely not easy to break the records left behind by the top experts of Tianwu Academy. It's said that in the past 1,000 years, only about 20 years ago, did a senior called Du Tingxian break a record and enter the top 10. The quiet girl continued. Du Tingxian. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and a smile appeared on his face. He didn't expect his drunkard father to have left behind a legend in the war realm. Then let's begin. Hearing that his drunkard father had left behind a legend in the war realm, Du Xiaofu became even more interested. Profound qi surged out from his feet. He shook his arms, and a faint golden light flickered around his body. Like a rock spreading its wings, he immediately rushed forward. At this moment, Du Xiaofu planned to charge into the war realm and walk the path his drunkard father had walked. Let's not charge in. Let's just stand in the safe zone and watch. Seeing Du Xiaofu rush out, the quiet girl pursed her lips and smiled. Her temperament was extraordinary. I'm starting to like this little fellow more and more. What an interesting person. Li Shui looked at Du Xiaofu's back and smiled charmingly. Who knows how many people are chasing after you in the academy? Why do you have to cause trouble for him? I can guarantee that once Yangshuang comes out of seclusion, she'll definitely settle the score with you. The quiet girl said to Li Shui. How am I causing trouble for him? Li Shui stared at the quiet girl and asked, Furthermore, how many people do you think will dare to cause trouble for him now? Don't forget that you have the Overlord Spear, Qinguyu, by your side. In his eyes, you're his exclusive property and no one can touch you. Those who have spoken a few words with you will all end up miserable, the quiet girl said. That bastard Qinguyu is hard to deal with. Hearing this, Li Shui frowned slightly. Then a smile appeared in her eyes as she said, Actually, I also want to know if this fierce little fellow can make that bastard Qinguyu suffer. Boom! As Du Xiaofu rushed out, the mountain in front of him suddenly shone with a dazzling light. The mountain trembled, and a rumbling sound resounded through the sky as if the mountain was collapsing. Energy fluctuated, and then a huge stone man blocked Du Xiaofu's path. Runes spread out as it looked at Du Xiaofu like an elephant looking at an ant. Its huge hand clenched into a fist, and like a meteor streaking across the sky, it directly pressed down on Du Xiaofu. So what if you're big? Du Xiaofu shouted. His body was wrapped in a faint golden light as he stomped his foot and punched out. Boom! The fist was wrapped in golden light, emitting an endless dazzling light. The domineering aura was like a volcanic eruption. Du Xiaofu did not dodge, and his fist immediately collided with a huge meteorite-like fist. Rumble! The two fists, one big and one small, collided. Even Du Xiaofu's body wasn't as big as the fist, but the energy exploded in the air as if it was going to shatter space. The dazzling runes shattered, and the momentum shook everyone's soul. Then, under everyone's shocked gazes, the huge stone man was destroyed inch by Du Xiaofu's fist, and it turned into runes that filled the sky and dissipated. I originally planned to explode today, but the plot of the past 2 days wasn't easy to write. Chapter 275. What terrifying strength! It's truly domineering, too terrifying. Many people in the safe zone felt their hearts tremble. Those who were able to enter the 4th level of the combat realm were all top students of Tianwu Academy. Each and every one of them was outstanding. For these people, it was not easy to make them admire a person. But without a doubt, everyone present was impressed by Du Xiaofu. Aowo! A beastly roar resounded as a gigantic demon eagle flapped its wings and flew across the sky. A vast aura surged out from it, indicating that it was at least at the peak of the mysterious pulse spirit realm. As it flapped its wings, its sharp claws tore through the sky, as if it wanted to tear the space apart. Destroy! Du Xiaofu did not move. Looking at the demon eagle's claws that tore through the sky, he showed no fear. He clenched his fist tightly and threw a punch at the demon eagle's sharp claws. Rumble! Just like the rock giant from before, the demon eagle was directly destroyed, turning into runes and crumbling. Aowo! However, at the same time as the demon eagle's runes were destroyed, 2 gigantic demon wolves swooped down from the sky, howling ferociously. They wanted to tear Du Xiaofu into pieces. Du Xiaofu showed no fear. His fists were like 2 dragons emerging from the sea. Mysterious golden runes circled around his fists, and he easily shattered the 2 gigantic demon wolves once again. Chi-la-la! In midair, 16 array flags appeared out of thin air. They emitted a terrifying energy fluctuation and instantly appeared in the air around Du Xiaofu. Boom! When the 16 array flags finally disappeared, a violent wind howled in the sky. The space was in chaos as runes spread out in the air. The surrounding air started to fluctuate violently. Suddenly, the space trembled as a powerful array appeared in midair, enveloping Du Xiaofu within it. The moment the array appeared, it covered the sky and covered the sun. The violent energy was like the most terrifying tornado sweeping across the land. Its power was enough to make one's heart tremble. Normal martial marquis cultivators may not be able to break through a 4-star talisman array unless they are proficient in talisman arrays. It is said that General Unruffled Mountains and Rivers and Spirited Jade Maiden Gusinyan were trapped in a perfect 4-star formation array on the 4th floor. They were trapped for a total of 48 hours before they could break the formation. I wonder how long it will take Du Xiaofu to break the formation. The mountain range was continuous, the trees were luxuriant, the cliffs were steep, the rivers surged, and the mountains were tall and green. There was an enormous mountain peak that was shrouded in clouds and mist. The mountain path twisted and turned. At this moment, there were no less than 30 people quietly lying in the grass. They held their breaths and did not emit a single breath. However, this kind of atmosphere caused the entire space to be completely silent. It was extremely quiet. In the surrounding mountain range, there were no birds and beasts lying in wait. Sensing the extreme atmosphere, all the birds and beasts curled up their bodies in the bushes and caves, not daring to make any rash movements. Time slowly passed. After a long time, the 30 people continued to lie on the ground without emitting a single breath. Chi-chi! Finally, there was a commotion in front of them. Figures started to walk out from a cave on the mountain peak. Then, a dozen figures appeared in the line of sight of the 100 people lying in ambush. In an instant, everyone's aura fluctuated and they gripped their weapons tightly. A dozen people walked out from the cave with the emblem of Tianwu Academy on their shoulders. The one leading them was a burly man in his 50s. Behind him, more than half of the 20 people were young men and women. They should be students or instructors of Tianwu Academy. After walking out of the cave, the burly man leading the group smiled. He raised his head, slightly and looked around. Suddenly, a dazzling light flashed before his eyes. There's a weapon. Everyone be careful. Someone is lying in ambush. As the dazzling light flashed, the expression of the middle-aged man in the lead instantly changed. He waved his hand and runes surged. In an instant, a dazzling yellow energy, light condensed in his hand, and then he slapped it towards the dense forest. Chi! Just as the yellow energy light fell in the dense forest, the sound of wind breaking suddenly resounded. Then a rune energy light soared into the sky at the same time, and the two collided. Walala! When the two forces collided, the air trembled, and the two forces dissipated into nothingness. As expected of Elder Yu Ming of Tianwu Academy, you aren't weak at all. As the energy dissipated, a snake-like sneer rang out from within the dense forest. Then a black figure suddenly soared into the sky, rising from the dense forest and appearing in midair in an instant. This person wore a mask, and his appearance couldn't be seen clearly. However, there was a faint chill in his eyes, just like that of a venomous snake. So. Following the appearance of this person, the 30 men behind him also soared into the sky and floated in midair. The weakest of them was at the initial pulse spirit realm, and they were all wearing masks, making it impossible to see their faces clearly. Gripping their weapons tightly, the dozen of them exuded a bloodthirsty and baleful aura. It wasn't hard to tell that they lived a life of licking blood from the tip of their blades. It was impossible to conceal the bloodthirsty and baleful aura they exuded. Who are you? How dare you trespass into Tianwu Academy? The burly man leading the group stared at the dozen of men whose faces couldn't be seen clearly, and his face changed drastically. Putting on a brave front, he bellowed, "This is the territory of Tianwu Academy. If you don't wish to die, scram." Hee, Elder Yu Ming, there's no need to speak like a 3-year-old. Even if this is the territory of Tianwu Academy, it will take at least 4 hours for the experts of Tianwu Academy to arrive. By then, all of you would already be dead. The black-clothed man leading the group sneered, as though victory was already within his grasp. His cold eyes swept across the group from Tianwu Academy and eventually landed on the burly man leading the group. He sneered, "Yu Ming, hand over the treasure you just obtained and we won't have to make a move. To be honest, I don't want to kill too many people from Tianwu Academy. All I want is the treasure." "How did you know?" The middle-aged man's face changed once more. This was definitely confidential information. He had just obtained the treasure and was intending to return it to the academy. He didn't expect that the news of the treasure had already been leaked. The fact that these people were able to ambush him meant that they had already received news of his arrival and were waiting here. Pung, pung, pung. As soon as the middle-aged man said those words, a deep explosion sounded from within the cave, accompanied by a faint cry of agony. "Not good. There's a problem in the magnetite mine." The faces of the Tianwu Academy students turned grim. The middle-aged man leading the group had an awful expression on his face. He turned his head to look into the cave, and a terrifying shockwave rippled out. Then, a skinny figure slowly walked out from within the cave. It was an extremely skinny old man who looked to be in his 50s. He was all skin and bones, and his eyes were sunken deep into his eye sockets. His eyes were tinged with a tinge of red, and there was a metal chain tied around his hands. However, his hands were so withered that they resembled the claws of a ghost. There's no need to go in to take a look. Everyone inside is already dead. Yu Ming, do you think that I'm that easy to deal with? You restricted half of my strength and forced me to mine the magnetite mine. However, you don't know that the cultivation technique I practice isn't something that can be restricted easily. The skinny old man walked out one step at a time. When he appeared at the entrance of the cave, mysterious runes surged out from his shriveled, ghostly claw-like hands. The metal chain in his hands directly shattered into pieces and dissipated. Not good. The ghost claw has escaped. Everyone run. As soon as the middle-aged man's voice fell, The signal flare in his hand shot into the sky and resounded in the air. It's too late. Even if those from Tianwu Academy come, they won't be able to save you all. The skinny old man sneered coldly. He had no intention of letting anyone off. After he sneered, he stomped his feet on the ground, and his figure turned into a blur as he charged toward the nearest Tianwu Academy student. Qila! The Tianwu Academy youth hurriedly retreated as a profound energy halo enveloped his body. You overestimate yourself. The skinny old man sneered. He waved his hand and sent out a claw print. Mysterious runes surged and appeared in front of the young man like a ghost. The two of them were not on the same level at all. The claw print tore through the young man's defensive halo and pierced through his chest. Attack! Leave no one alive! The leading, black-clothed masked man also let out a fierce roar and directly pounced on the middle-aged man called Elder Yuming. Kill! As the masked man pounced forward, the sound of wind breaking rang out behind him. Dozens of people made their moves, and their gazes were filled with killing intent. They didn't hold back at all. Go all out and fight out with them. Someone from the Tianwu Academy yelled as he tried his best to defend himself. Waves of vigorous, profound energy violently surged out as he pulled out his weapon. Profound energy violently surged, runes flashed, and a tyrannical aura swept through the surrounding forest. The energy swept out, causing sand and stones to fly and many towering trees to break and huge rocks to shatter. In an instant, the two sides clashed. Different profound energy surged and runes flashed in different colors. They gathered together and shot out like fireworks. However, the terrifying energy contained within them was terrifying to the extreme. In such a terrifying battle, there were probably many people who had reached the Nirvana realm and great perfection realm of the Pulse Spirit realm. Chapter 276. Yu Ming, prepare to die. The skinny old man and the black-clothed masked man surrounded Elder Yu Ming. The three of them instantly exchanged blows in midair. 3 waves of energy fiercely collided with each other like torrential waves. Energy ripples spread out, and space ripples spread out like waves. Within the heavenly martial seal realm, within the 4th level of the combat realm, everyone's gazes fell upon the astonishing symbol array in front of them. They were waiting to see how long it would take for Du Xiaofu to break out of the array, or if he would be trapped inside and unable to break out. Only then would he be able to leave the 4th level and challenge it again. What a powerful symbol array, but it's still a bit lacking. Just as the crowd was waiting and guessing, for hours later, Du Xiaofu's loud laughter rang out from within the astonishing symbol array. Walala! Then, within the enormous symbol array that covered the entire 4th level of the combat realm, a terrifying energy fluctuated. Vaguely, it seemed like a golden light was about to shoot out, and the symbol array began to shake. Bang! Subsequently, under the shocked gazes of many people, the terrifying talisman formation directly exploded. Rumble! The violent energy swept across the sky, causing the entire 4th level of the combat realm to tremble violently. It was as if the heavens and earth were collapsing. The sky was shattering, and countless symbols were collapsing. Qi, Du Xiaofu's figure appeared in front of everyone's eyes. He looked calm and relaxed, as if he wasn't in a sorry state within the symbol array. Fierce, too fierce. He's only in the pulsating realm. Yet he broke a perfect 4-star symbol array in just 4 hours. Unbelievable, he's even more terrifying than the general and Gu Xinyan. Everyone was astounded and flabbergasted. No one had imagined that Du Xiaofu would actually be able to use such a short amount of time to break through a perfect 4-star talisman formation. Huff, with a smile in his eyes, Du Xiaofu let out a sigh of relief. It was quite a coincidence that he was able to break out of the symbol array so quickly. Du Xiaofu used his attainments in formations and talismans to discover some weak points of the talisman array. Finally, he used all his strength in martial arts to forcefully break the array. Speaking of breaking the formation this time, Both the martial Dao and the talisman Dao were indispensable. If Du Xiaofu had attainments in talisman formations, he would not have been able to discover the weakness and flaw of this talisman formation. No matter how great his strength was, it would be difficult for him to forcibly break out of the formation. If he didn't have the cultivation of martial arts, it would be difficult for Du Xiaofu to break the array, even though he had found some flaws and weak points in the array. He didn't know when he would be able to break it. Moreover, it was an offensive glyph array. While thinking about how to break the array, the attacks inside the glyph array were also extremely troublesome. Rumble! As the talisman array shattered, the space in the entire fourth layer of the battle realm trembled violently. It was as if a dazzling light shrouded Du Xiaofu in the sky. As the light shrouded the area, the talisman symbols were dazzling. A vast and mighty aura was emitted, as if it wanted to make people submit. Du Xiaofu, Pulse Realm, broke through the fourth layer of the battle realm in the fastest time. The dazzling light shrouded Du Xiaofu, and on the light screen, there was a row of talisman symbols flickering. He seems to have set a new record. Everyone watched from afar and clicked their tongues. They didn't expect Du Xiaofu to actually set a new record. He was only at the pulsation realm, but he had passed through the fourth level of the combat realm in the fastest time. This little guy is really terrifying. Li Shui and the quiet girl looked at each other in shock. They didn't expect to see Du Xiaofu leave his own record in the battle realm. Walala! As the light shrouded Du Xiaofu, he felt the changes in his points card. He immediately took out his points card. At this moment, the 120,000 points on Du Xiaofu's points card instantly became 1,320,000 points. In other words, he had left a record in the comprehension realm and received a total of 1,200,000 points as a reward. 1,200,000 points. What a terrifying number. So this is the benefit of leaving a record. A smile appeared on his face. Looking at the points on his card, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but reveal a satisfied expression. Walala! As the dazzling light dissipated, another spatial ripple appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. I can enter the fifth layer so quickly. Du Xiaofu muttered to himself. However, he did not hesitate as he took a step forward and walked in. Following the dazzling spatial fluctuation, he turned around and disappeared. This fierce guy is too terrifying. So many people can't even step into the fifth layer, but this guy actually passed it in one try. He's too strong. He's only in the pulsating realm, yet he's able to enter the fifth level of the combat realm. Among us seniors, there are less than 10 who have reached the fifth level of the combat realm. I don't know if there are 10 people. I'm afraid there aren't. The towering cloud peak, the cliffs were shining, and the entire mountain was verdant. Du Xiaofu appeared at the foot of a huge mountain in this space. This mountain had the power to uproot the earth and the sky, as if it was holding up the sun. It stood majestically in this space. Walala! After entering this place, Du Xiaofu was surprised to find that the points on the points card in his hand suddenly changed again. The points increased from 1,320,000 to 2,520,000. Another one. 2 million points. This should be the reward for stepping into the fifth level of the pulsation realm. Du Xiaofu was surprised, but then he felt relieved. He had been rewarded 120,000 points for entering the fourth floor, and now that he had set foot on the fifth floor, the reward would naturally be much higher. Swoosh! A whooshing sound was heard from the mountainside of the mountain in front of Du Xiaofu. A figure flew through the air and landed in front of Du Xiaofu. It was a young man in his early 20s. He had a tall and sturdy body, and his skin had a faint bronze color. His facial features were clear and deep, and he gave off a sculpture-like feeling. His temperament was extraordinary. Judging from his aura, this young man seemed to have just experienced a fierce battle. His aura seemed to be able to dominate the sky and suppress the mountains and rivers. What a powerful aura! Du Xiaofu slightly raised his eyes. He could feel a powerful aura coming from this person. This person's aura was not ordinary. The young man was also sizing up Du Xiaofu. He seemed a little surprised, but then he was no longer surprised. His deep eyes revealed a hint of majesty as he said to Du Xiaofu, "I didn't expect you to reach the 5th floor." "You know me?" Du Xiaofu was puzzled. He didn't seem to know this person. "I don't know you." The young man shook his head. He then looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "But I've seen and heard of you before. You should be here to challenge the 5th floor. There are a total of 4 stages on the mountain. At the foot of the mountain, there is a howling sky demon tiger, the beast marquee stage. At the mountainside, there is a heaven-devouring dragon, the mysterious beast marquee stage. Further up, there is a demonic ape, the beast marquee stage. I heard that there is a complete martial marquee expert at the peak of the mountain. If you can defeat them, you will be able to pass the 5th floor." "Thank you for telling me," Du Xiaofu said. "It's a small matter. Don't mention it." The young man looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "You have to pay attention to the fact that the 5th and 4th levels of the combat realm are different. The combat realms below the 4th level are all illusionary, which makes it easier to deal with them. However, the 5th level is not illusionary. Could it be that everything in the 5th floor is real?" When Du Xiaofu heard this, he was shocked and surprised. If the 5th level of the battle realm was not an illusion, then it could only be real. "Not really." The young man shook his head. His facial features were distinct, and he emitted a kingly aura. He said, "Everything in here is still an illusion. However, the difference is that the howling sky demon tiger and the others are half-spiritual creatures. They are not completely formed by the illusion. Their bodies are illusions, but their phantoms are spiritual creatures. Half illusion and half reality, you can think of it this way for now. I heard that this is the work of the expert who set up the battle realm. He must have some extraordinary skills, which is why it is so mysterious. The phantoms are spiritual, half illusion and half reality." Du Xiaofu murmured. He then said to the young man, "Thank you for telling me. Take your time. I hope to have a fight with you one day." The young man looked at Du Xiaofu and continued, "I almost forgot to tell you. There is a restriction in the 5th floor. No matter what your cultivation level is, you are not allowed to fly. You can only rely on your strength to reach the peak. There is no other way." After he finished speaking, the talisman in the young man's hand moved. It was as if it could tear the space apart, and his figure disappeared. "That guy is so strong. Those who can enter the 5th floor should be at least in the top 10 of the martial ranking. I wonder who he is," Du Xiaofu murmured. Du Xiaofu didn't recognize the dignified young man from before. However, he could sense from the other party's aura that he was an extraordinary existence in Tianwu Academy. There was a high chance that he was in the top 10 of the martial ranking. "Let's start. I have to break at least one record. Otherwise, I will lose face when I see my drunkard father." Chapter 277. Du Xiaofu silently pondered. His drunkard dad had already broken a record here. Although he had created a new record, it was still incomparable to breaking a new record. Therefore, he had to break a new record, in case he felt embarrassed the next time he saw his drunkard dad. At this time, the 5th level of the battle realm was much quieter. Not just anyone could enter the 5th level. Then Du Xiaofu walked towards the enormous mountain peak in front of him. The closer he got, the more shocked he felt. It was just too big. Roar! Just as Du Xiaofu appeared at the foot of the mountain, a howling sky demon tiger appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. "This is the howling sky demon tiger." Du Xiaofu raised his head slightly. The huge demon tiger was dozens of feet long, even bigger than the largest king-scaled demon tiger. The howling sky demon tiger, compared to the king-scaled demon tiger before its atavistic mutation, had a much more terrifying bloodline. It was one of the top-ranked demon beasts on the Earth Beast list, the closest to the Heavenly Beast list. It was extremely terrifying. I will tear you apart. The gigantic howling sky demon tiger's eyes were ice cold, and its entire body was incomparably majestic. Its roar was exceptionally soul-shaking as its gigantic body walked step by step towards Du Xiaofu. Its gaze was just like a wild wolf staring at a little white rabbit. With every step the huge tiger took, its tiger claws fell, causing the ground to crack. However, under the effect of the illusion, the cracked ground began to recover. It can actually speak. Is it psychic? This is much more interesting than dealing with inanimate objects. After being slightly surprised, Du Xiaofu was completely fearless, facing the howling sky demon tiger. Although the aura on his body was slightly condensed, it was not enough to make him retreat. Instead, he walked forward, his battle intent soaring. According to what the young man had said, the howling sky demon tiger was at the initial stage of the beast marquee stage. Fighting with this enormous creature was just nice for him to test his current cultivation level and the achievements he had comprehended in the past 3 months. Kid, the aura on your body is too weak. You can't get past me. Go back. The howling sky demon tiger spoke in human language. Its eyes were ferocious, after which it assumed a pouncing posture before its body directly pounced forward. Its huge tiger claws struck out at lightning speed. Dazzling symbols flashed, seemingly able to tear apart the vast sky. In an instant, it appeared above Du Xiaofu's head. Chi chi chi. This was the heavenly beast, Lord, realm beast, Lord, realm beast, Lord, realm. Just the aura suppression a normal meridian spirit realm cultivator was probably unable to resist, not to mention Du Xiaofu realm. Du was only heavenly beast, Lord, realm, realm. Was the heavenly beast, realm, 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 realm. Was God, dragon, realm, realm. Tiger, demon dragon, and an Aemon dragon, Mu dragon god realm to his was realm, was two sky, was realm beast heavens. Was sky beast. Was sky demon beast sky do? Was. To do to be had was realm after 3 months after he sky, by after was by. Come. Du Xiaofu shouted out loudly. Hand seals formed in his hands, as lightning like light flashed from his eyes. His long robe fluttered in the wind, while his aura was incomparably overbearing. His 5 fingers clenched tightly into a fist as golden symbols and mysterious patterns surged. A mad demon sky, wolf, phantasm blasted out from his fist. The mad demon sky, wolf phantasm was dazzling. Although it was formed from symbols, it seemed to be alive as it immediately smashed towards the howling sky demon tiger's claw. Chi 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 chi. The howling sky demon tiger's claw tore through space, while the mad demon sky wolf phantasm roared. The wolf's claws collided as dazzling symbols devoured. However, in the end, the mad demon sky wolf phantasm appeared to be a little weaker, as it was directly torn into symbols and dissipated by the tiger's claw. Roar! The tiger's roar shook the heavens, causing one's soul to violently tremble. It was extremely frightening, as if it wanted to scatter the mental energy in Du Xiaofu's mind, as his soul began to feel some pain. What a terrifying howling sky demon tiger! It's really strong, Du Xiaofu secretly said in his heart. After the mad demon sky wolf phantasm was torn apart, he staggered back 2 steps. A true howling sky demon tiger that had just descended to the beast lord realm was truly terrifying. Roar! The howling sky demon tiger did not stop, as it once again pounced towards Du Xiaofu. Its huge body was like a small mountain that was moving. Symbols flashed as light spread out. Its aura became increasingly terrifying, causing the surrounding space to ripple, after which it pounced towards Du Xiaofu. They're going to be serious this time. Du Xiaofu had never been careless. Now he was even more so. The faint golden symbol puppet runes surged, enveloping his body in a golden halo. As the simple puppet runes surged, it was as if a golden-winged roc was about to charge out from the halo. The howling sky demon tiger once again waved its tiger claws, as if it wanted to tear everything apart. Its terrifying aura shook the earth, causing it to tremble. Du Xiaofu waved his hand as golden symbols flew out. They were densely packed, as if a golden-winged roc was spreading its wings. It was extremely domineering. At this moment, a man and a tiger immediately entered into an intense battle. The surrounding space was filled with shock waves, causing the mountains to crumble and the earth to crack. However, under the special effects of the battle realm, the scene of mountains crumbling and the earth cracking would automatically return to normal. Du Xiaofu was giving it his all, as he used all sorts of methods to resist the howling sky demon tiger that had just ascended to the martial Lord Realm. Roar! The howling sky demon tiger's roar was extremely terrifying. Its roar could injure people, and in an intense battle, it could even affect the opponent. Rumble! A man and a tiger clashed. At the places where they collided, one could clearly see the spatial energy rippling out like waves, as the energy spread out in all directions. Du Xiaofu was giving it his all, as he used the comprehension that he had gained over the past 3 months. His every move was filled with shocking energy, causing the ground to crack and rocks to turn into dust. At this moment, no one was able to witness such an intense battle. If they were able to see it, they would definitely be shocked. A pulsating realm cultivator was actually able to clash so fiercely with a howling sky demon tiger that had just ascended to the martial Lord Realm. How terrifying and shocking was that? One should know that even a true martial Lord Realm cultivator would have to be wary of the howling sky demon tiger that had just ascended to the martial Lord Realm. It would be very difficult for them to contend against it. Furthermore, Du Xiaofu was currently forcefully clashing with the howling sky demon tiger. Roar! The howling sky demon tiger roared continuously. The ferocious tiger's roar shook the mountains and rivers, as if it was roaring that it was unable to defeat the weak-looking guy in front of it. However, when they clashed, the little guy was indescribably terrifying. Swoosh! The tiger claw pressed down on Du Xiaofu, as if it had the power to shatter mountains and split the earth, tearing the sky apart. Sky-shaking wings. Du Xiaofu counterattacked, forcefully clashing with the golden talisman inscriptions. The domineering aura was like an erupting volcano. The aura of the golden-winged roc directly suppressed the howling sky demon tiger. The howling sky demon tiger was terrifying, but Du Xiaofu was also very strong. It was hard to imagine that the body of the skinny figure actually contained such terrifying strength and power. The howling sky demon tiger was psychic, so it was also suppressed by the aura of the golden-winged roc on Du Xiaofu's body. Perhaps if the howling sky demon tiger was not psychic, it would not be affected by the aura of the golden-winged roc on Du Xiaofu's body. Perhaps this was something that even the expert who set up the battle realm did not expect. Swoosh! The tiger claw tore through the sky. Du Xiaofu's golden light flashed and soared into the sky. The collision between the man and the tiger was accompanied by a muffled sound of energy, causing dazzling talisman inscriptions to bloom. In the terrifying exchange, the howling sky demon tiger had the upper hand. However, Du Xiaofu's body was wrapped in a golden halo. Relying on his terrifying physical body, he completely resisted the howling sky demon tiger's attack. Tigers roar in the sky. Suddenly, the giant tiger roared and talisman inscriptions spread all over its body. Then, under Du Xiaofu's surprised gaze, the talisman inscriptions changed and arranged themselves in the air in front of him. In the end, they condensed into a ferocious giant tiger head that was over 100 feet long. It was only a ferocious tiger head, but it was like a divine tiger looking down on the earth from the sky. Its power was unparalleled. Roar! The tiger's roar shook the heavens, shaking the mountains and rivers. Its fangs were dazzling, and at this moment the ferocious tiger head was like a sun that suppressed the world. It was incomparably ferocious, and the roar of the tiger swept across the sky. Rock descends to the 9 heavens. Du Xiaofu activated the rock, descends to the 9 heavens. Golden light bloomed all over the sky, and the wings on his back suddenly condensed. The airflow whistled through the sky, and it was as if a real golden-winged rock had descended. Carrying the domineering will of the golden-winged rock, it flapped its wings and swept across the sky, shattering the howling sky demon tiger's roar. Roar, roar! The howling sky demon tiger's claws once again tore through the sky, and a huge tiger claw appeared above Du Xiaofu's head, as if it wanted to tear the world apart. Du Xiaofu waved his hand, and it was like a golden-winged rock flapping its wings, domineering and domineering. Every move of his was filled with a domineering aura that overflowed into the sky, crushing everything in its path. Boom, boom, boom. Such a collision was like a thunderclap, and a series of dazzling runic lights burst forth. With a heaven-shaking explosion, the space in this area seemed to be on the verge of shattering. Dang, dang! Du Xiaofu's body was directly pushed back, and a mouthful of blood flowed out of his mouth. This was also the first time Du Xiaofu had been obstructed in a battle. The howling sky demon tiger's huge body was also pushed back slightly, and a look of confusion and shock appeared in its eyes. What a powerful demonic tiger! It's hard to deal with. The Beast Lord realm is too strong, Du Xiaofu thought in his heart. After fighting for so long, Du Xiaofu finally understood how strong the howling sky demon tiger was. The howling sky demon tiger that had just ascended to the Beast Lord realm was too strong. It was simply too difficult to deal with. Du Xiaofu, prepare to comprehend in my runic world. I'm about to break through, and this is the best time for you to comprehend. Suddenly, the little demon's voice sounded in Du Xiaofu's mind.